Hello. I'm so glad you're here. Um, it's fancy meeting you here, really. I mean, like, it's a Monday, so I'm not expecting much. But today we're going to talk about community building and why the Writers Roundtable. Why are we going to talk about community building? As I just told our guests just before we went live, as I see it, there's two major communities every successful writer needs, and that is a peer group community made up of writers, editors, other creatives that will help you hone your craft, will help you polish your work, what you've written. And then the other community writers need in particular is a reading community. You know, what is the point of doing all this if there's no one to enjoy it, to benefit from it, and to maybe get a little escape? So that's what we're planning on talking about today. Are we going to stick to script? No. Have you met us? So to help me not stick to script and to change it around and have a wonderful time just being chatty, my lovely guests today, Nia, the vixen of fiction, and surprise, we caught a wild Stephanie Whitson. It's fantastic. I mean, look, y'all. She has been on sabbatical in the wilderness of America for weeks now. And we were honored with like a surprise drop-in. So yay us. And then, of course, you know him, my best friend and brother, the Labradoodle.
Hello, all. Keep a straight face. Don't choke.
I would like you to be seen as a cat of some kind next time, if you would. If you're taking
We're working on that.
Yeah.
We would love
There's
it.
not a cat avatar yet, is there?
The
Or is it-
UCam for the free options only has dogs and dolls. The paid option, I believe, has cats. And that's what, so...
I have an idea.
Oh, okay.
Patreon for the cat avatar. Come on. Are you guys on Ko-fi or Patreon?
We are on Ko-fi, and my Ko-fi link is down below. If anybody wants,
come on, guys.
Or, you know what? If you just want to follow me on Ko-fi when I do, one day I do a blog post, you can at least get that update. So I would suggest, please follow me on Ko-fi if you're thinking about it. Yeah, Kat's like, hello, Ko-fi, yes. So let's go ahead and say hello to people. Eva is here. It's like it's been a week. No, it's been 5 solid minutes since I last saw you. Tom's here doing double duty because I like to say it. And Megan is here. Hello, darling. And then and then Kat is here. Hello, sweetie. And Amy is here. Oh, we've got Amy late at night, y'all. Fantastic. And Amy, honestly, if you'd like to come on and say your piece, let me know. I'll send you a link. Definitely, if you are in the mood. And then Nia is doing double duty. Excellent. Jules is here. Hello, sweetie. It is indeed a Monday, my darling. Adrian made it. Hello. So here we are. Talking about community part 2. Because we had so much more to say. And to be perfectly honest, Tom and I are not having a great day. The truck is not doing well. So we are now down.
It has more parts broken.
Yeah, more parts.
I feel your pain. I literally feel your pain.
That's why do you think she watched it?
I feel your pain.
Like, Stephanie has truck woes, and I'm like, oh, let me click on that right now because it showed up in my recommended list, and let's just watch it right now. Because nothing makes me feel better than to know other people are also dealing with maybe not exactly similar truck problems, but they too are in a saga of repair work. So, thank you.
And to top it all off, there's only one loaner vehicle that the dealership can loan out because of the type of insurance that my husband has on the truck, and it's it's a small 4-door car. And for those of you that don't know, my husband is a double amputee, leg amputee, so he uses hand controls to drive. So when he drives a car without the hand controls installed, he has to he has to be careful not to press his heavy prosthetic foot too hard on the gas because a few times he's oh, we're going 80, we should probably slow down. But it doesn't
Yeah.
feel like
Oh,
we're going
seriously?
because, like, in the
Those
truck,
prosthetics are
he was
amazing
in control.
because he stands and walks just like a normal person. We understand better after watching a few videos of him that really, if his pant legs are down,
You can't
I
tell
would never
from
guess.
his gait, from how he holds himself, that he has prosthetics. They are such good prosthetics.
Yeah, so when I met him on a blind date, he was limping a little. Like, his gait was a little off, but like, I limp all the time after working all day at work when I was working at Safeway, and so like when he was limping a little bit, I didn't think anything of it. So when I tell the story, I'm like, oh, he was wearing pants, long pants, not like like he goes around not with him wearing pants. Like, he was wearing pants. So I didn't really realize that he had prosthetics on because we were sitting across a booth table
Yeah,
at a restaurant.
And, like, the way he stands, it's such a natural stance that it really doesn't clue in, versus like I grew up with amputees, single and double leg amputees, where you could tell just even the way they were standing, even with slacks on, that there was something off about how they were holding themselves, but not with him, because we've seen him in the videos and he moves just like anyone would. And that's what we were talking about, like, wow, those prosthetics, they got fitted so well. And obviously, like, his surgeons did such a great job. Again,
yeah. So when he got his surgery done, they said, well, we decided to cut your legs off at the same spot, even though one leg had more good left. It would just be easier for you to learn how to walk if they were cut off at the exact same spot. So
yeah.
But yeah, it's been, let's see here, Lily is 11. So yeah, it's been 11 years he's had prosthetics. He got the bacterial meningitis the same year that my middle daughter was born, and month. So
Oh wow.
if I figure out, that's how I know how long he's had them. So yeah, people are impressed that he's able to drive and walk and hike and did the Grand Canyon. We went bowling, so
it is just amazing how technology has improved and advances in medical science. It's just fantastic. I think it's very cool. But yeah, I could see where he would still have like some issues with using like a traditional foot pedal accelerator. Yeah, like
he presses it down, but then he's holding his leg with his right hand as he's so you make sure he doesn't press down all the way. Yes,
I could see it. What's wrong with it? Sorry, I was trying to do something else. Okay, so do you want to introduce yourself? Anybody? Nope. Okay, as said, there's no requirements. That's fine. These people are lovely.
I'm broken this month. No.
My brain is on Camp Nano, so.
Right? Yeah,
and new puppy, the lack of sleep.
During the break, I'll update with all of Stephanie's details, but there is actually a link to Stephanie's YouTube, her writer YouTube account, down below in the description, and I will get the rest of it updated during our first break, which is like 40-50 minutes away. So I'm just saying.
Be patient. It will be there. I promise you.
It will be there by the time people rewatch, because it turns out we do have a fair number of people who watch on the replay.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Like, we keep them company. So, so what I was saying was, like, Tom and I don't feel that great today. In fact, Eve and I were like, trying to like figure out why don't I feel well. Like, I have had stomach cramping and all sorts of stuff. It has not been a great time for me, which means I don't sleep well, which, you need sleep to think like at all. So, and I was like, I don't know what today's going to be. Tom's like, we're just going to be an hour of awkwardness and we'll just end the broadcast. And then here everybody showed up. So again, I just want to point out, I feel like this episode is actually a wonderful example of how community really helps carry you when you just can't walk. And they didn't even know. Because, look, y'all, all I did was, when I sent out the StreamYard link was like, boop. Like, I just had no words left. It's like, I don't feel good. And
I just thought you did that. You're like, I just thought you did it that way. You're like, okay, here's another Monday notification. How much more interesting can I make it? Here you go. Like, if it's the same thing every week, how much more interesting can you make today? Like, I didn't think anything of it.
I just appreciate your benefit of the doubt because it's like, no, I have no words. Glory don't feel good.
So here, although this does bring up another key of community building, and that is consistency. We chose Monday like this because we knew no matter what, we can always do this. We can always show up. We learned this working at the video store, and then we've done it through every other business. One of the major things, even if no one shows up at your business on those days, if you say you will be there at that time, you need to be there. People get very upset if you're not there. So so we're here. Since we're the ones running the program. When our guests can't make it, stuff happens.
Yeah, we get it.
But we need to be here because we're the ones opening and running it. And that is a big way to get and build community is, be honest of what you can do consistently and what you can only do intermittently.
Mm-hmm.
And, you let people know and you set those boundaries. People don't mind boundaries as long as it's consistent and they know how it works. They get upset when it gets confusing, and sometimes it's like this and sometimes it's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's where you lose community.
Exactly. Yeah. I found even with something as simple as writing sprints, I have the set days that I do writing sprints, and I tell them I can make it. I'll be doing it though. When I do it, which is not every week, but I say when I do it, it'll be this day, and this day. Of course, I'll announce it. And the first time back in, was it May or? Yeah, I think it was in May where I wasn't able to make some of my streams, and I would just post this is one of the ones where won't be doing it. And I would either take it off the schedule or I say, see you next week, something like that. And I thought, oh, they're going to be so mad. No, communication, letting them know, and they know I'll be back next week. But I'm only doing writing sprints though. I'm not trying to do a cool podcast like this one. Is super awesome and informative. But yeah, communication, the expectation, let people know. If you're new at this and you're thinking I want to stream, but I don't think have your schedule, tell them it'll be every other week, or tell them it'll be say Thursday's normally a good day for you, but you can't do it every Thursday. Say most Thursdays. That way there's that expectation that, oh, if she's not here on a Thursday, let them know what Thursday you're not going to be able to do it, so that they know, and then they'll catch you on the next one. But there's that communication, and then there's that expectation. Of course, everybody loves a pop-up every now and again. So
yeah, and you can
is always
label it pop-up. Like it's something like Tom and I were talking about. Now that I've made Twitch affiliate, we have, because let's be honest, they may have my name on it, but it takes a village, y'all. So, but like one of the things we were talking about is let's start doing we'd love to play games together, like any kind, board games, video games. And I was like, I wonder if we could find it's sometime in the week where we could consistently be able to just even for 2 hours get together on Twitch and just be our little sassy, snarky selves while we play video games with each other. But something like that we could maintain so that, yeah, if you want to join us, you know where to find us. But we've talked about in the meantime, till we can be sure that we can maintain the schedule, we're just going to call them pop-ups to like really communicate of, hey, we don't know if we can be consistent in the schedule yet. Yeah. So don't don't schedule your life around us yet, because we're still figuring it out. We're, in that state of flux. Versus Monday, we made this commitment to Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. No matter what, at least one of us is going to show up, turn on StreamYard and set it up and be like, hey, y'all, so here we are. And then see what happens. That's the plan. I think it's helpful, though, so that people who do want to be around us, they know where they could find us for the things we can be consistent about. I think pop-ups are like Pop-Tarts. Everyone wants one.
Yeah. I think something that might end up eventually being beneficial for you guys is, I don't know how it would work, but to be able to run a rerun show. Because like you guys can do it today, but what if there's a day where medication is an issue, or a vehicle breaks down and you're away from home becomes an issue. You know, the possibility of potentially running a rerun, you know, something like that. Especially you guys are getting a pretty good library of shows now, and they're all so good and informative. So that you've got something on in that space, you know, and people will know that it's not, you know, that you guys aren't just like, we don't want to do it today. That it's more of a, okay, there's an issue. What can we do? So like a backup plan for the just in case.
Like maybe
I think you guys are getting a good library of work that you can do that.
Like one of your earlier videos, maybe not something so recent, but maybe an earlier one, you could always say, ooh, like maybe your first episode.
No. Not the first one. The first one is just watching us trying our best not to melt down while we do meltdown. It was all technical difficulties for 2 solid hours, and then the third hour is just us chatting with Abigail. Like, no, I don't wish it on anyone. But we left it up for there be documentation of, this is actually what adult autistics can look like, panicking and having meltdown. It's not necessarily how Hollywood portrays it. And it's not necessarily like how everyone's meltdowns and panics go. But I mean, there is at one point where I seriously was like, I may be about to have a full panic attack. It did not actually happen, but it was like, I could feel it happening. And frankly, then Abigail showed up and actually got on screen with us and helped us. And so the panic attack did not become full blown, but it was about to. So that's why we leave it up as documentation. But no, we are not proud of that episode.
All right, I don't think I watched the episode, but I'm just saying.
The second one is about robots, and that's fine. It's very awkward. Okay, that's fine. This is where we talk about robots. But yeah, like, or we could pre-record one and then just premiere it on that.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Even if it's just the two of us just talking, because like, it looks like we'll come in early August where Tom will be traveling for several days. And so it may end up being that he's ended up traveling on a Monday, or wherever he is in the country, he can't get reliable Wi-Fi and so can't join us. And so that's something to think about.
Oh, yeah.
I was just reading that comment.
Yeah.
I was actually just thinking about talking about pop-ups versus consistency. And, you know, humans are weird about expectations. And so like one easy example I always have to bring up is years ago I delivered pizza for one of the big chains. And one of the things I learned about that really did have a direct influence on my tip was to always give myself padded time, like an extra 8 to 10 minutes more than I thought it would take me to get there and to deliver that pizza. Because no one's upset when their pizza gets there early. If you get somewhere with your pizza 5 minutes late, they are suddenly very upset. And that's sort of the same thing with the consistency of whatever you say you can do, you have to keep doing. But they're always happy for surprise extras.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just truly never overpromise. Underpromise, overdeliver.
Yeah. And Kat, do not feel bad.
Yeah, we're not trying to call out Kat.
It's Camp Nano. I think the other benefit is that all of us being in this writer community, we all know that just everything seems to happen during a Nano camp or Nano itself. Everything happens.
Nano like a curse? What is this about, y'all?
I don't know what it is. But yes, everything seems to happen. So, yeah, I think if things were going to go a little off the rails, this was probably the better, more accepting time for that to happen. Because you can always say, you guys know how camp is. And we're all like, oh, yeah, we know.
I want to go ahead and welcome Amy. Hi, Amy. All the way from Australia. How is the morning for you? Middle of the night? I don't know.
I was just going to ask, what day and time is it over there?
It's got to be like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m.
It's almost 6 actually. Can you hear me all right?
You
Yes,
sound great.
we can.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Sound great.
Yeah, it's almost 6 in the morning and it's freezing. Hence
Oh
the
no! Yeah, because it's wintertime
jacket.
there, right?
Yeah, it's winter. It's like I think a low of 5 or something where I am, 5 degrees Celsius.
Oh,
So
that's just rude. That's
Yeah,
Makes
it's
my
nice.
bones hurt just saying.
I know. Nia's always cold.
It's summer here, and this is me.
Yeah, the AC
Oh, no.
is blasting. It's just too much, for her.
I've got a puppy
If
at my
it's
feet, so I'm
below-
okay.
If it's below like 72 degrees outside, I'm like in jeans and like a couple of layers. I get cold easily, which is why I'm totally glad to be nowhere near my home state in the wintertime. That is my plan. Nowhere near, because where I am from in Oregon, it snows a lot. So I'm gonna go anywhere else. Oh, build my community and visit everyone I know on YouTube. How's that?
Right.
I'm kidding, kind of.
Yeah, like I was looking forward to seeing you, like at least in the autumn or winter time, where it's like, oh yeah, it's quite mild here.
I'm hoping
But
to
yeah.
be near you, like in October-ish.
It'll still be kind of warm, but not
Hopefully.
like intolerable. Usually, like it's usually not more higher warmer than 90 degrees high in October. Usually, in theory, maybe.
I'm saying October probably just because you never know what's going to happen, like our truck.
Yes.
I'm stuck in Minnesota in the middle of nowhere, Amy, because our truck is having problems, so it's fine.
Oh, no.
I'm making the most of it. It's okay. Or the best of it anyway.
Yeah.
It's fine.
An adventure.
Yeah.
Yes, that's for sure.
So, and like, before I forget, Maggie has come, and so is Tamama. Hello, darling. I don't want to forget my lovelies because, yeah, we're all just doing our best. It's July, and I don't know why it is a poop show, but here we are. Amy.
Gloria, I just want you to know Loki feels called out, so he is behaving so well. He is angel puppy right now.
I'm
just saying.
So, Nia, when Tom and I were little kids, like little kids, like I think 5 or 6, when I was 5 or 6, so Tom would have been 2 or 3, we got an imaginary friend named Loki. And like, so every time you talk about Loki, I'm just like, yeah, no, that checks out with my imaginary friend too. Like, yeah. It was just, we had Loki, we had several imaginary friends. And when I say imaginary friends, like they were shadows that we named. And this was how we dealt with, like, being scared of the monsters under the bed. Was Mr. Cow, Mr. Black, and Mr. Brown, and Loki. And these were our 4 imaginary friends that we decided were shadows sent to protect us. So, yeah, every time you talk about Loki, it's like, no, she's talking about a real dog, not...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Eve asked, what do you consider community when it comes to writing community?
The writing community is us. These people who are writing along with you, who are on their writing journey, who are authors, potential authors, wannabe author, dreamer authors, that's the writing community. And then there's our reading community, the community that we build that we hope will be reading the work that we put out.
Also our writing community does also include the editors,
Mm-hmm.
the alpha readers, the story developers.
Yeah.
And they can cross over.
Partners.
All of these things can cross over.
Definitely, like, there are a bunch of different hats we wear as creatives that help others in our community. The whole critiquing and, editing at various levels of editorship can be really helpful for everyone, as well as, some of my best editors are people who taught me how to edit more than they just edited my work. Like, they would actually take me by the hand and be like, okay, so this is what you need to be looking for. because this is what I'm looking for. And then when I see it, this is what I know needs to get fixed. You do this, da 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 da. So the best editors for me were people who actually were also teachers, not actual teachers necessarily, but who taught me more editing craft.
Mhm.
And I would definitely say all that is like just this peer community.
Yes.
And honestly, to a lesser degree, I would say even other creatives can be part of that peer community, including like musicians and composers, people who can be quite a source of inspiration.
Mhm. And the business side as well, especially if you're going to be self-publishing, those people who are good at marketing, who are good at social media, who are good at helping you to, or showing you how you can make all of these other mediums work in your favor, as
Like graphic designers, book cover designers.
all of these people
and
are
even
part
for
of our
traditional
writing
publishing,
community.
I would say literary agents and even
Mhm.
publishing houses are part of that peer community, because we're all sort of in it together, aren't we? We have a goal of sharing these creative works in a way that also means we can keep the rent paid. So, and we can relate. It's a relatable experience.
But it's also good because it means we can say, yes, this person's really good at that job, or or be careful, wary of this person. So you can kind of avoid getting caught in traps as well by being able to share and help each other with that information.
Or even just like here, there is a person in my past who said A, B, and C, and that was my flag. So if you hear someone saying things like that, maybe that's a flag, and just essentially sort of like a mentorship of life experiences in this field. I find that very helpful. But versus the reading community, I've seen it's possible to just tap into a reading community someone else has made, whether it's a publisher, or Goodreads, various reading book clubs and other groups. But also I noticed a lot of writers, especially like career writers, establish their own community, with that whole the newsletter sign up, and where they make at least a couple newsletters a year to update their readers on what they're doing and what's coming out for them. So they also cultivate more of like a direct reader community as well. And I think that can be very helpful. I know for me, I find it such a motivator knowing there is even one person waiting to read my work, like to just enjoy it, not to critique it, not to okay, this needs to be and fixed, but like who just wants to just purely enjoy it. That can be such a strong motivator for me to push through the times. It's like, but I don't feel like this. I don't want to go back and write this scene that I don't like. It is difficult for me. But knowing, well, so-and-so is waiting. They're very patiently, lovingly waiting and putting like a little filler space in their TBR for me. I'm going to push through because I know they want this, they need this, they will celebrate it. And I want the effort to be celebrated.
I agree. It happened to me the other day on my stream, actually, and I was just doing some writing streams, and somebody in the comments seemed really excited and genuinely interested in what I was reading, and this is writing, sorry. And this is somebody I'd never met before, and I'm so used to it being just, close family and friends who are supportive. And this person, I was actually genuinely interested and said, take your time. Like when it's out, I want to read it. And it's like, it's very motivating.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's like, wait, I'm crafting. So I'm making magic here, y'all. Like,
so I've written a few books, right?
Do you want to read your parody copy?
You mean the one I made for the descriptor?
Yeah.
I did not feel well for several days. And I was like, what am I going to do for a descriptor? We need copy now. Do we really, though? But it's, look, it's me in my head. And my mother taught me, when you don't know what to write or you don't know how to start an article, just do a parody. It's a Jewish technique. Anyway, so I immediately thought of the Monkee song, I'm a Believer. So here it is. I just literally sat and with the lyrics in one hand on the phone. I thought success was only true in fairy tales, meant for someone else, but not for me. Failure was out to get me. That's the way it seemed. Disappointment haunted all my dreams. Can you hear the tune?
Yes.
Then I got a reader. Now I'm a believer. Not a trace of doubt in my mind. I'm a writer. I'm a believer. I couldn't stop writing if I tried.
Aww.
I saw that in the description, had a giggle.
Yes, it was meant to be just sort of funny. It's just, but it is true. We need our reading communities too. Thank you, Megan. Yes. If you are having a good time and you would like to, we'd love for you to click the like button. We will love you no matter what, though. So,
We understand if you just consider us mediocre.
it's totally, we get it. Very sweet. Yes, they're. Yep. Hey, we're the monkeys. I know. I grew up watching monkey reruns when I was a kid, like after school. So I had a crush on, what was it, like 4 out of the 5 monkeys. It was what it was.
Mostly sequentially, not
I will
concurrent.
hear you. You know what? That is not important. That is not important to this conversation. Nobody needs to know how young Glory was like, okay.
You matured in your taste
Anyway,
in the monkeys.
Tom always thought that was amusing, even when we were little. So
I have a question.
yes.
I have a question for everyone on screen. So would you say your writing community is bigger or your reading community is bigger? Or do you have one of either? Or one, neither one? I can't talk. You know what I mean? Someone talk.
I'm pretty new to the writer community, so I'm trying to build up both, I think. So they're probably about the same-ish, but they're slowly building.
I would say that my reading community from when I had my short stories posted, definitely bigger than my AuthorTube community here. And then my bookish communities, probably, and author community are probably about the same. But my readers was bigger. I don't know how it will be when I return because the stories will be different. They will not be middle grade anymore. So I don't know if I'll still have that audience. My hope is that over the last couple of years, they've grown, if they were actually middle grade age, that they are now high school age. That's my hope, and that they'll be ready for the younger ones anyway. The older ones, hopefully that they'll still enjoy it, even though people like to read in the genres that they like to read. And so if you're an adult who likes to read in middle grade, which I do like reading middle grade, but I'll read adult, young adult, new adult. I'll read all of them. So it just depends on who they are, because they're more anonymous to me because I wasn't engaging with them. I was just putting out a story and they would like it and subscribe and keep reading. So I wasn't engaging with them. I'm engaging with some of them now because they have engaged a little bit on the AuthorTube side of things, have popped in and be like, oh, what are you doing? What is this? Where are short stories? And I'm like, hi, I'm doing this AuthorTube thing. So some of them actually join in on the writing sprints. So there's a handful that are engaging with me now. So I think that those ones will definitely transfer over into, have kind of slipped into the writer community and will slip back into being my readers. But the bulk of the readers, I don't know. It depends on what I put out and if they like it still.
I would say for me, going by current and past experience, when I am regularly publishing, my reader community is exponentially larger. Right now, I would say my peer community is much larger, simply because most of my past readers are mostly, they are regional, specific to where I live because of what those publications were available. Oddly enough, they're actually mostly in the state of Mississippi, and then for some reason Australia. I'm just saying that was an interesting period of my life when the school newspaper got kind of big in Australia. judging by the comments that people used to leave on my articles. But pretty much I did not at the time capitalize on that reading community to have a way to keep in contact with them. And then when I was publishing my articles in a regional magazine, it just didn't occur to me back then to set up a newsletter so I could have a way to essentially cluster them together to keep them informed of what I was doing. I was still thinking a very hierarchical top-down system where I have to find a publisher, essentially, whether it's a magazine publisher or a book publisher or whatever, a newspaper publisher. I have to find that, and then from there I find my readers. So I have readers, people who still remember me when they meet me in real life. We run into each other because my name is kind of unique. But I haven't found a way to really contact them to let them know I'm starting to put out stories again. So I'm expecting once I'm more regularly publishing and I have more things available that my reading community will grow much larger. But in the meantime, it's essentially what I need. I'm sort of like an incubator right now. And sort of I'm growing as a writer, and so I need more peer support than reader support at this point.
Yeah, I totally get that. And yeah, the hope is, especially for me, since my reading community was built online, is that, you know, they'll still be around and they'll see a video pop up and be like, hey, I remember her. Let me click on and see if I still like what she's doing. Mm-hmm. But I think even if I don't retain a lot of them, I believe I should retain some of them, just from the feedback that I've gotten of people that are still like, hey, when's the stories coming? I believe I'll retain some of them, and then I will grow from there. So even if I had 2,000 subscribers that were reading, even if I only retained 500 of them, for me, I feel like that's still a good start. You know, so I'll take what I can get, and then I'll run with it and hopefully keep the ball rolling. But yeah, right now, what I needed was a writing community because I didn't know how to make my short stories good stories. So hopefully I have learned that, and we shall see. But I was just telling stories the way that they came in my head, and I'd write them down and just put them out there. And from that, people liked it enough that they subscribed and continued reading. So now my hope is that I can retain some of that authenticity, but also that I've grown as a writer and I can write a better story, if that makes sense. That's my hope from that, what I'm getting from the writing community. And some of it I have to take what's good and leave out some things, because not everything that I've learned is actually going to end up working for me. Because I feel like for a while there, when I was getting into the authorship community, I was getting very confused because it was a lot of, don't do this, you can't do that. And I'm like, oh, okay. So all of these things that I've been doing, I can't do that. Even though I got subscribers and readers, I'm being told by people who write well that if I write like that, that's bad. I'm a bad writer. So I'm like, I'm a little confused. I don't know what to do. Do I keep writing like I've been writing, where I'm more narrating a story, which narrating can lean heavily into telling over showing? So I'm trying to I've been learning a balance where I can still narrate because that's what people have liked, but I also don't want to come off like you're just a bad writer. You don't know how to write a novel because look, you're just telling us this story. So I'm trying to find a balance because I want to grow my audience.
The way I see it is I'll take on people's advice and I'll kind of run it through my own filters. And if it's in the direction that I want it to go, of course, there's things where it's like helpful criticism and that sort of thing as well. But sometimes it is just subjective. And so I'll kind of take it or leave it depending on if it's how I want to mold my writing or my story, because some people might have a completely different writing style to what I have. And so that might reflect on how they perceive what I write. And so I'll kind of pick and choose a little bit of what still kind of keeps true to what I want as a product. So
good points.
Well, I mean, that brings up something that also helps having a writer community, which is you have a larger base of samples to go from. And like, one of the big surprises for Glory this past year is finding out, while what we grew up hearing was, just how much we needed to be grammatically perfect. Any story you wrote and you put out there, which we actually see as modern readers are not that concerned, as long as it does not distract from the story. As long as the grammar is clear enough for them to continue with the emotional arc in the story, they're happy. There is not this perfectionism that the publishing industry has long put out about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And other similar things of you find out like what are readers really interested in, and it's not necessarily what the ivory towers of the industry tend to say.
Yep. This is very true. I was talking to an author tuber a while ago, and they were like the very popular writer that I like their writing style because their prose, their description is spot on for me, but they don't do overly pro dialogue or overly pro descriptions. The descriptions are more accurate. It's not very flowery, but the stories are great, and he's very popular. And they were like, I don't like his writing because it's very just like trite and not flowery. And I'm like, but that's what I like about it. So there's going to be an audience for this type of story that you like. And sometimes a lot of what we're more niche, and if you're in the AuthorTube community, a lot of times you're also in the bookish community, and they're very, very particular. They're on Goodreads and they're critiquing books very, very finely, where lay readers don't care about a lot of the stuff that they care about or that we think that they care about. And if you look at the stories that are very popular, some of them aren't great as far as the writing goes. Some of them are very popular, have whole series and have been made into movies, and the writing's not great. Others are just really great stories and they're incredibly popular, but they're not the most flowery, most beautifully written piece of work. And then there are others that are, which means that you'll find your audience. If you write what you want to write, if you write what's in here, what's up here, and you put it on paper, there's going to be an audience for it. And the unfortunate thing is, I think, was it Maggie was calling it the elite in the community aren't going to like it. They'll pick it apart. They'll tell you everything that's wrong with it. But are you getting an audience that enjoys it? So that's more what I'm trying to find the balance of. I want it to be good, but most important, I want people to enjoy it, and I want to write what I like. So I'm weighing those factors heavier than is someone going to rip my writing apart because I didn't use the most eloquent words or have the most in-depth, compelling story. I wrote just a fun action adventure, and I should have been writing something more meaningful. Well, maybe I don't want to write that.
No, write what you want to read, and that's you've at least got one person in your audience, and I'm sure there's probably a whole lot of other people that like that exact thing too.
Yeah, it was very enlightening for me as a librarian to work during the whole 50 Shades of Grey breakout success. Because I had this idea of, I had been told my whole life, oh, you've got to be so good at grammar, you have to be so good at flow and prose and blah, 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 as well as you have to have a compelling story and blah, blah, blah. And then to see 50 Shades, which if you have ever opened this book and read any page, you know what I'm talking about, and realize that is not what readers they do not care about. They do not care. They are here for the story. They are here for this event. Because, and it wasn't just, everybody's saying, people are buying it and they're loving it. I was literally talking to hundreds of active, voracious readers a month who are like, is there anything else like 50 Shades in the entire library system? And we were desperate to find anything that could hold a candle to it. because they just wanted more story like this. And I was like, oh, you normally read such, elite contemporary fiction. I thought that, you'd be more into this. They're like, oh, well, I like it. But it turns out, no, this is great. I just really want a compelling story. And I'm like, okay, well, we're going to reassess what, we're recommending to you then.
Yeah.
And it was just so enlightening for me to see, no, readers are just desperate for a compelling story. They want an escape. And I'm not saying like every reader on the planet is this way, but,
enough that books and the movies made millions and millions and millions of dollars. So it's enough.
The first book alone made $5 for every employee at that publishing company, down to the janitor. Every single person that company employed, that book the first book alone made $5 per person in profit, not gross. Okay? That is a lot of money. That is a lot of money for any one book on the planet, ever, So it was very enlightening for me to see that, okay, the thing that I actually care about as a reader, which is I want a compelling story. I want an escape. When I read to go experience another life. I want to go on the adventures. I want to get out of, Mississippi, even if I have to do it in a story. I want to go on adventures and to see, and I want to meet new people, and I want to be in new situations. And I also want the writer to guide me through how to navigate those social situations. That's what I want. And it turns out the majority of readers, because it wasn't just the stereotypical older married white women who were reading 50 Shades. We had grandmas, we had grandpas coming in going, I hear there's a book I need to read. We had teenagers going, when will I be old enough to read 50 Shades? And I'm like, we do not censor books, so you can check out any book in the library. Now how your mother feels about it once you get home, that's between you and her. And they're like, oh, I know how to hide a book. And I'm like, I did not hear it. La, 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 la. But that was what was going. Everybody wanted to read this book because partly everybody was talking about it, and partly because enough people found it compelling to want to talk about it with other people. That was all they wanted in a book, it turned out, which I could relate to as a reader. But that's not what I have been told by agents, by other publishers, by fellow published writers my whole life. Up to that point, because I was in my early 30s back then. And so this is that's what I have come to believe of, forget all the grammar rules. Nothing means nothing. You're in the 21st century. Just do what you want. Write what you want. If you like it, there'll probably be enough other people on this planet who also like it that you'll feel good about it. Go for it. Eva says, if you're old enough to want to read it and understand the words it uses, you can read it. That's our house rule.
Oh my gosh! So that reminds me.
Go on.
A year ago, we got my oldest daughter this anthology from Barnes and Noble because a young person recommended it. It'd be a good anthology of short stories for a girl her age. Well, 5 pages of the first story, the characters are fucking on a staircase, using that word over and over again, being very descriptive. So my daughter's like, I don't think this is appropriate for me. So she decided it was not appropriate for her. Fast forward to reading all the Sarah J. Maas books, and then I came across online someone referred to it as fairy porn or whatever. So then I read one of the books. I'm like, Hannah. She's like, well, I think it mattered because they weren't using swear words to talk about that. I'm like, okay, I guess. In your roundabout loophole type of way, it's fine. And then I got my other daughter a set of 10 paranormal books from 10 different young authors, and she read one of them, and it was Sarah Cannon, and there was this scene where they woke up naked in bed and they had sex. It was a 2 or 3 page thing, and she's like, Mom, they were having sex in the book. She whispered it to me. I'm like, hey, how'd you feel about it? She's like, it was kind of gross, but they didn't use any bad words, and it was normal stuff, so I guess it's okay. She's 11, so I'm like, okay. So usually I do a pretty good job about figuring out what's in the book or not, but sometimes I miss some stuff. But we're very open about things. So if there's something weird in the book and they don't feel comfortable about it or they have questions about it, they just ask me, and I about it using real word descriptions of things, not, I don't know, like I actually call body parts what they actually are called instead of some made up word, because we're just open like that. I mean, kind of, I don't know. So,
yeah, I'm pretty good with my kids at doing. I prefer age appropriate. I'm pretty good at doing what I feel like is age appropriate, and I think that differs a little bit with each one of my kids, because some of my kids were mature, a little bit older, but I'm a very big proponent of let kids be kids as long as you can, because the real world's harsh. So that's just how I raise my kids. I think I did okay, but I don't call that censorship. I'm like, when you get a little bit older, you can read that. It's never a no, but y'all, I think I've talked with some people. I have discussions with my kids, so I never do a hard no. If it's a no, you can talk to me and explain to me why you think it should be a yes, and if I agree, I'll be like, okay, there you go then. You convinced me that you understand what's going on here. But if not, then I'm like, no, I think give it another year. You still feel like that, then come back at me. We'll have another discussion. That's just how I operate. But no, nothing is just like, sure, you can do or have whatever. No.
Yeah, but
I'm not that open of a mom. You can't just do or have whatever. No.
When I was a teenager, I would
read that.
Tom and I would talk about, we loved the weird names authors would have for genitalia in these, romance novels. Like, we literally at one point, I had
like a flower,
like his man root.
Like what?
His man root and her maidenhead, and it was like, what are these things? And I'm literally pulling out the dictionary at the library, the big dictionary, maidenhead, and I'm like, it says it has something to do with a ship. That has nothing to do with this scene, and here we are, I'm like 14, Tom's 11. We're trying to figure out what body part was this? But that was sort of the fun of it. And like at a certain point we made, and occasionally I come across, there's a notebook that we had kept a tally of all the body part euphemisms. Her jade palace. And we were like, there's nothing great about lady parts. Why are they calling it a jade palace? Like, we're just, two neurodivergent kids who did not understand things. But we loved, even when we were a little older, 16 and 13, we still enjoyed the euphemisms at that point. It was just like this funny joke then. And we would come up with our own euphemisms for body parts because we thought it was hilarious, and that maybe this is what writers do for fun on the weekends, is write out all the different ways to refer to genitalia. It's going to be great.
That is what we do for weekends for fun.
Yeah,
it is.
Exactly.
You spoiled our secret.
Yeah, you're telling
when we want something instead of purple prose, when we're trying to get past the purple prose.
Like, just the descriptions in these books were hilarious. As a child, I did not understand. Teenager, I mean, to me, teenagers are still children. But when I was young, I did not understand how hilarious these are. But like years later, I came across one of my favorite ones that I had like kept aside. It ended up going all the way to the Philippines and back. And I opened up this ridiculous book, and I was like scanning through because I knew what number of pages were my favorite pages. You'd also tell they were dog-eared. And I'm reading through it and I'm just laughing out loud because now these descriptive passages are hilarious to me. Like they're downright comical of how would anyone find this arousing, but okay, And that was like another layer of fun for it as a reader to enjoy it. But yeah, that was what we were. But my mother's idea back then was when I was 11, I started reading Harlequins. The books, the original Harlequin romance novels, the story literally ends with the first kiss. Like usually the first kiss is within 2 to 3 the last 2 to 3 pages. And it ends with a first kiss, which my mother was like, okay, you're 11. That's fine. I mean, it's a kiss. Who cares? By 12, it was a little bit more, but she didn't quite notice that the covers were changing. By the time I was 13, I was reading covers, where it was obvious that Fabio had posed for them. Yeah,
I know.
or someone like Fabio.
I know what you're talking about.
Right? Yeah. Like he got a bald, and they did not even cut that picture higher up. Like he got a. So, and sometimes he has some amazing thighs. That was what I was reading, and by the time my mother realized I was reading quite salacious fiction, I had been reading it for like a year or two. She just had not noticed because I was reading a book a day. What I liked about those, they were salacious, but what I loved about them was they were often written by history professors, and so there was a lot of history. And let me tell you, when you're 14, learning history with sex scenes in it is a great way to learn all about El Cid, the First Crusades, the Second Crusades, Islam in the 800s, whatever their subject of their degree was on, that's what the romance would always be set in that. What a wonderful way to learn his history. I'm just saying, I'm a proponent. We should do this now. We should just all write, not us necessarily, but history professors should write salacious fiction. I think it would be a great way for everyone to, let me tell you, you'll remember it when you're like, oh yeah, that's right. Because that's when the nun decided she had had enough and she was going to run off with that buccaneer. And
the Buccaneers.
Yes, it was fantastic. I mean, I was reading all of this stuff. It was fantastic.
Oh goodness. Glory, we are close in age, aren't we, Glory? Oh goodness.
Okay, so
whatever you want to claim, Nia.
Yeah,
Nia. I'm older than Glory. I know I am.
Listen to this fiction. She's just talking fiction, y'all.
I have the children to prove it.
Yeah,
and I was not a teenager when I
adopted them when they were 10. I get it. It's a racket.
I have not heard a whole lot about the Vellas yet. Either I know people are putting them out, but I think people maybe are still feeling it out. That's what I'm waiting on. I'm waiting. Like, I'm not going to debut mine until August, so I'm waiting to see what people think, how it's going. Are people actually buying the coins? I guess you got to buy coins to continue reading. So I'm waiting to see a little bit.
If I may, I want to quickly flex on Maggie. Maggie has a story out that is listed as a Vella top fave. I kept it open so I'd remember it. Relic of Time and Prophecies by M.M. Ward. It has a little crown on it.
Ooh.
Top fave. And so if you have Amazon Prime, you get 200 coins for free. You just redeem them. So I did that when I went to go look for Maggie's. It also said right above Maggie's of like, oh, you can redeem your 200 bits or whatever they're called. I can't remember. Let me look. 200 tokens. You have 200 tokens. So it told me that. So I went ahead and redeemed it because why not?
Yeah.
And she's got that out. Let me see if I can actually get a good web address for it. Oh, if only. If only I was prepared.
Maggie, so how's your experience so far, Maggie? How has your experience been with it so far? I'm trying to go back to some of Eva's comments.
Yeah, Eva posted it in the comments.
Oh, okay. Sorry. There, I put there too. Yep. Eva's got it. Thank you all y'all keeping on the links.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm very proud of Maggie for that. Like already, she's hit the ground running. I think that's fantastic. Yeah. Eva's like, I've got tokens to spend.
So I have a question. Like the fellas, thing with Kindle? Is it just I've looked at it and I see a lot of them are like fantasy or magical element stories. Is that like the only type of stories in there, or can people write
Oh no,
other genres of stories?
there's all kinds. Oh yeah, just any. I think everything, any genre. I see.
There's a biography here under featured in Kindle Vella that because it's also a top fave. It's a death and life, a biography. Like
Yeah,
there's all sorts of there's I mean like there's all
you're
sorts
probably getting recommended that because if you're clicking on some of our friends in this niche, that's what we're writing. So then I think if you click on some of ours, then it's going to probably showing you more just in that same vein. But yeah, if you go out a little bit, I guess through when I was looking at it, whenever I click on someone's story, it kind of like breaks it down to your reading fantasy. So just go back and look into your general list, and you can probably just type in whatever genre it is that you're looking for. And if they've they've tagged that as part of their genre, then you'll find some different types of stories.
Okay. Yeah, I am undecided if I'm gonna do that, but I was just wondering if that was the only thing. But that makes sense.
Yeah.
Literally under the featured faves, there's Finding Normal, a contemporary young adult story by E.A. West.
Nice.
So there's like, as far as I can tell, there's like any genre imaginable. Somebody's already got a Vella story out in that genre. Or non-genre, since I guess contemporary is the default. Sure.
Oh yeah, I saw
people
blogs and everything too. Yeah.
And as well as biographies and nonfiction stuff as well. It's just like any other form of writing, from what I can tell. It's just done in episodic form.
Okay.
So, I was thinking now might be a lovely time to take a break. If y'all are open.
Yep.
Do a little
I want to get some
break.
done, so yeah.
Sure.
I found a 10-minute goat timer. So we're going to watch goats.
I like goats.
I figured why not? Why good times, y'all. All right. So if anybody wants to get up, get a snack, move their legs, do the things, or write. Vacuum. I don't know. The things. I assume vacuuming is a thing people do. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you how long it's been since I have vacuumed. But we're going to do it, and we'll be back in approximately 10 minutes. So I'll see y'all in a little bit.
Okay. Do you need anything?
Maybe to beep. Maybe to beep. Maybe to beep beep beep.
Man, I was writing away. I was like, oh, beepy beeps are happening.
Yeah, the beep beeps. Yep. Just for anybody, that particular goat timer is not in my timer list because I gather, as far as I can tell, the person who made it, Elliot Chu, may actually be a minor, and so it's listed under YouTube Kids, and you can't add to your playlist videos intended for children.
Oh.
So just so y'all know, I just literally typed in goat timer and it was the first one that showed up. So
That's cute.
But yes, it was very cute. The goat, the little baby goat with the zoomies. Oh my goodness. So, how did everybody do? Did you get the things done?
I visited the little girl's room and I got a popsicle.
Nice. Tom got me some root beer because my stomach wasn't feeling great.
He's a panda.
And
Yep.
now he has a panda.
With the eyebrows. Okay, y'all, get ready for some
Get ready for
eyebrow action.
the panda.
Yes, the eyebrow action on a panda is on point.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
So,
I got a drink and I got some writing done, so
very nice. Yes.
yes.
Amy, how'd you do? Did you do okay?
Yeah, I did a little bit of writing, which was good. So
Nice.
yeah, it's moving.
Awesome.
So, Amy, I don't know anything about you. What type of book are you writing, or what type of story you're working on?
My primary genre is cyberpunk, so cyberpunk sci-fi. That's what I'm writing. I'm currently working on my first draft, which is about a bounty hunter and her bounty having to deal with the chaos that ensues when they figure some things out. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Cool.
So I'm just trying to piece things together because I'm a bit of a planner and a pantser. So I have my outline and then I figure things out and ideas develop as I'm writing. So I'm trying to piece little bits together at the moment.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I call myself a plotter with pantser tendencies. So I love the plot. I love plotting and planning. But when I get to writing, I like to go ahead and write when the words are coming to me.
Yeah, I think that's what's happened. And I'm like, oh, this character works and this plot idea comes in here. And then I come up with new things and then I have to backtrack. And it's like, yeah.
Yes. Very relatable. Me too. Yeah. Yeah. I'll plot, but then when I'm in the middle of writing, it's like anything goes. I am not here to necessarily argue with my characters when they're like, no, we're going this direction. Like, okay, I'll just fix the outline later.
Yeah.
I'm just under 10,000 words into my outline or into my rough draft, and I haven't outlined all the scenes for like 20 scenes, and it didn't follow it. It's okay. Like, it's fine.
It happens.
Yes.
It sounds better this way. It's all right.
Exactly. Like, they're still fleshing themselves out.
I think also this one was a bit of a learning curve. This wasn't originally the first book in the series, and before then I was figuring out my method. And so in this book I've really kind of refined how I even do it. And so it's kind of gone to this mess to hopefully some kind of integrity.
Well, I can't wait to read it.
Thank you. It's getting there. I hit 124,000 words yesterday.
Wow.
So it's well underway.
Yeah, excellent stuff.
Thank you.
Jules is in the throes of real teacher problems. She's fired up the laminator, and now it's time to laminate everything. This is a real teacher struggle.
I used to have a laminator and a printer at home, and I broke my printer because I was printing everything and laminating everything. Of course, when the kids were way younger, so everything was laminated.
Right.
I feel that, like.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm surprised I don't have a label maker yet.
Yes, like y'all look. So I was teaching. It was at Butler, Alabama. Oh God! And they took me to the secret teachers lounge. There was the official teachers lounge, and then there was a secret teachers lounge for real. And that's where they hid the die cutter and the laminator. I don't know why, but okay. I think it was so that the kids wouldn't bother them when they were in the secret teachers lounge. Because the secret teachers lounge was labeled supply closet, but it was not a closet. It was a full freaking room. It was a big room. Like, honestly, the teacher's supply closet was the size of my entire apartment. So, just to give you an idea. And it even also had a bathroom. Just to know, yeah, teachers could truly hide out there. They showed me the big laminator. The big, the one that's a press that you could, like, press pants on, or a person. I always thought that would be a good murder mystery way to die. And I was like, whoa. And they're like, okay, whatever you do, don't touch it. Like, it looks like foam. Don't touch it. And I'm like, oh, why? And they're like, because it's asbestos and you'll die. Like,
okay.
Should we get rid of it? And they're like, no, don't you say that. Don't you dare call the state. They'll take away our big laminator. Like,
That's hilarious.
I love teachers, and teacher nonsense is fantastic. But yeah, like, you could literally laminate life-size people, and some teachers would, because they would do, that drawing, the outline of the kid on the paper, and then they cut it out and they color it in like them, and the teacher will laminate it, and then the kid has to cut it out, and then the teacher will just put all the children on the walls, and it's very disturbing to me. So.
We had one where the teacher did our shadow pose, and we thought it was the coolest thing.
I did that, I think I was in, the 3rd or 4th grade, maybe 5th grade. We did, a silhouette of, shoulders up, and then everyone had to, guess who it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. We did that. Are we close in age? Stephanie, I think you're younger than me.
I don't know. I have no problem saying that I'm 38, so you guys figured out.
Yeah, you're a little younger than us. Yeah.
Not much. Stephanie's not that much younger than us.
I told my daughter, I'm like, not this birthday, but the next birthday I'll be 40. And she's like, no way. Really? Already? You're going to be that?
So ancient.
Yes.
I'm such a baby.
It's okay. Babies are welcome here.
Yay.
I'm usually the youngest in the group of anybody. Online, in person, groups of parents. I'm usually the youngest.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Lucky.
I'm usually the youngest in any group, and honestly, AuthorTube is the first social group I've ever been in where I wasn't automatically the youngest by far.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I worked at the library, I was younger than everybody in the entire system, which upset one of the managers who was previously holder of the youngest title. She was upset that I was younger than her by 5 months. And she kept bringing it up. And I was like, you're a manager. Why are you upset?
Oh, dear.
Yes. Yeah, for real. So this is kind of a new experience. Of course, I understand because, technology, of course, if you're younger, you're used to more of your life encompassing that kind of technology. So to you, there's no blockades to joining. I never thought I would be somebody who would actually be on YouTube. I was like, what do I have to say? And also technology, I don't know how to do any of these things. And honestly, some of it had to do with Jessica made that video on how to run StreamYard, the 10-15 minute video on how to do everything in StreamYard. And she did it in such a way that I was like,
oh yeah,
oh, I could do this. Yeah. Oh, okay. And I literally watched it a second time with it on the TV, and I was on my laptop and following along. I'm like, oh, I really can do all of it. And that is actually the reason I'm on YouTube, on YouTube at all, is because Jessica made it seem so easy to do. So I wasn't intimidated. Because before that, I was like, oh, I got to learn how to video edit, and I got to learn how to run video editing software, and I don't know how to do the things and all the things. And for whatever reason,
I'm going to tell you. going to tell you my editing process for all of my videos. It's super complicated. Are you ready?
I'm so
I
ready.
do it all on my. I do it all on this right here, just
Okay.
on my phone. I film it all, and then there's this app that because I used to have an iPhone. I used to use iMovie to do it all the time. That's the only reason I missed my iPhone. But I just do it on there, and there's this app. It's called Video Guru, and then you can like split scenes or do transition. You can put words over the words, like the date if you want, whatever you want to write on top of it. You can then they have a free music library in there. I mean, I could use YouTube and use their music, but I can only do that on my laptop, and it takes forever to upload a video directly from my laptop up to YouTube. But I can do like a 20-minute video in like 3 hours on my phone. It takes like 3 days to do it on my laptop. So yes, I admit that I could probably have better videos if I had a better camera set up. But for now, this is what I do. And
I don't know. Your videos look pretty good even on my TV. Because that's mostly where I watch them is on the TV. I know I'm old. I get it. Okay.
No, it's okay.
But it's so easy to watch it with the TV set up. I don't have to get the laptop out, fire it up. I mean, y'all are like, what is it, like a Fireforge laptop, Corey? Yes, it is. But I could just use my phone to cast up to the TV and just watch it. But yeah, all your videos, look fine on the TV. The sound is fine. Yeah, it's.
So most of the time when you hear me talking on my videos, it's because I have my like Bluetooth connected to my phone. So it's not like, because then when I'm like filming something and I'm behind the camera, I'm not trying to talk and for it to catch my voice. It's just connected to the Bluetooth piece that I have. And it works out well. So far, so good. I don't know. No one's complaining and said my video suck. You shouldn't be doing it. So, and if I did, I'd probably just do a really obnoxious one where I talk like this, and this is my voice, and this is what, just to be annoying.
I think the only thing like I would even want with your videos is like when y'all went to the zoo. Occasionally, I had trouble finding the animal. Like I'm not good at these find the hidden thing picture game. And so if you could have had an arrow, that would have been helpful. But like all I did was just pause it until like there's an animal in this shot. I just find it. And again, it's on the TV, so it's bigger.
We're gonna go there again before we leave here. And when we go there again, where there's this like this nature trail that has like this white wolf, like a wolf that lives in like this enclosed forest. And all the animals there are animals that want to live out in the wild ever again. Like there's something wrong with them, or they have health problems, or they fly very well, or things like that. I mean, things are so huge. The exhibits are huge. But I will do that next time.
I did eventually find the owl.
Or
just say I found the owl eventually.
You did,
but I did find it. I don't know if I found. Like,
you mean versus the bald eagle? Oh, look, it's not stuffed.
Oh my god!
I really was like that poor eagle. He needs antidepressants. So this eagle is just like, this is my life. Mopey. It was the most mopey bald eagle I've ever seen.
Because I've seen, like, we've gone to the Portland Zoo, right? And they have a couple of bald eagles there, but it's like more open and more space around. So they look, they even look bigger at the Portland Zoo than they did at this zoo here.
Yeah, those actually look pretty small for bald eagles. Even because we have enormous bald eagles down here. Because we have such enormous pine trees, we can actually support larger bald eagles as as an environment. Which it has really cut down on our feral cat problem.
Yeah, North Mississippi does not have feral cats anymore.
For real.
Yikes.
Yeah, just bald eagles. Just bald eagles are personally responsible for a minimum of half of the death of all feral cats in North Mississippi.
And not that many, what do you call them? Not dachshunds, chihuahuas.
Yeah, chihuahuas as well. Have you seen those vests that they're now designing for chihuahuas and smaller dogs to wear so that the eagles can't pick them up and take them away?
Wow.
All right,
For
I'm reading
real.
some of the comments.
Oh, I believe
I've
this.
decided I will make another video of this soon. I will.
All right. My daughter's coming because I
And,
called
like,
her to
exploding
get Loki.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, if we're about to lose Loki, then at least let's get a shot. Come on, baby. Show us.
Oh.
So
Yes,
cute.
neck and teeth, the widow rope. Oh, so
He's
much
so cute.
Yeah. He only
Look at
wants
this
to play now. He did
precocious
really
baby.
good. He did really good. He took his nap, but now
Yeah.
he's like, it's playtime. I did my thing. And I'm like, yes, you
Mhm.
did.
Look at that.
You were
sweet
very, very
baby. Ah, okay. I mean, look, y'all. There was a baby on. I had babies. I will accept all babies, particularly non-human babies, but also human babies. Yes, it was like, where's the owl? I was paused it because I was determined to find the owl. I did find the owl, y'all. So
Yeah,
watch.
you
I had a
would
hard
never
time finding it at
survive on
first.
Twitter and the find the lizard Wednesdays. There's a
Yeah.
couple,
I don't know what that is.
So on Twitter, there's, among other Twitters, there's STEM. There's definitely STEM Twitter groups, and among them are ones who actually go out into the woods to do their work on animals. And so, like
Okay.
the herpetologist and amphibian, essentially the ones who do all the lizards, will have on Wednesday they'll post a picture of, can you find and they'll name the creature.
I have never once found it on these Wednesday where they post the picture. You can like click on the picture and make it bigger. And I've never once found the toad, the lizard, the reptile, whatever the animal. I never find it. I am not good at this game. I am blind. I get it. Look, I was like that at the library where just like find the book, and I would just have to go find a child. Come help me find this, and then I'll help you, child. And they're like, okay. So yes.
This is very true. We
need to have words with these birds.
Yeah,
if they want to stick around.
Our
Chihuahua
seagull likes to walk down the street, and he'll go down the court and walk around the court in a circle and walk back up. And we were calling him one day because we let him out. He's old. He's not going far. We know where he goes. And so we're calling him, and I'm like, he is not answering. And we see this hawk is circling the court. And I said, that's where he's at. That thing has got its eye on our dog. My daughter's like, no, that's not true. I'm like, I guarantee you. And I went and I called our dog, and I said, look, the dog stopped, went like this, noticed the hawk was circling him, and ran back to me. And then the bird went away. My daughter goes, I said, he was about to get your seagull. It's not my dog, but he was about to get gone.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
All my kids have their own dogs.
If you just search eagle proof, it automatically finishes dog vest. Okay. Because this is becoming a very notable problem. Apparently, eagles prefer the flavor of dog to cat.
Wow.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Which I totally disagree with.
Also, cats don't like wearing the vest, so oh well. I don't know what to tell y'all. But yeah, it doesn't hurt the eagles because they were endangered. I don't know what's going on right now.
Oh, they're not endangered at all anymore.
Right, because
it just deters them from grabbing your
right. It doesn't hurt them, but it does deter them from being able to get a grip because of those things on their back.
Versus the newer ones are these secondary Velcro.
I'm just
shells.
saying, Mia, this is for your baby. I'm just saying.
They look so punk. They look so punk.
It does look so punk. I love it. I think it looks really cute. But I'm just saying, so your baby will survive all the hawks and eagles.
Yes.
Yeah, versus some of the newer ones are sort of so your dog wants to be a stripper because they are tearaway Velcro designs that come off if you pull up top.
Like stripper pants, but for dog vests.
Yes.
For dogs.
These look really cool. I'm going to get one.
Oh, they also work.
I probably need to get free for all the little
dogs. And they have it for lambs as well.
Aww.
Look at that cutie. Yeah, because coyotes apparently also. Look at that. Flashy coats. to protect them.
Aww.
They do look so punk, don't they?
They really do.
I love it. Like this one with the little old man face. I'm totally on board here. Talk shit.
Great.
Okay, not that anybody asked, but I just was like, hey, y'all, you could write it into a story. Okay.
No, Eva, she's out there singing "Circle of Life." No, we don't want to lose our
No, they're fed enough. Okay, they're fed enough.
Although I will admit, I do enjoy watching the battle of the eagle versus the Canada geese, and who can out upset the other one, because these are two sets of birds that do not back down.
Canada geese are wild. They are very not domesticated at all. They are fierce, and they honestly should be having they would be punk rockers if they cared at all. But
they're so punk they don't even care that they're not considered punk.
Thank you for playing the stream on Twitch, Cat. I enjoy. I think Cat's playing games and listening to us.
Yeah, Valheim
on the stream. So, writing community. Trying to protect each other's puppos. Yes, I'm just saying. Amy, is there anything like that in Australia to keep your animals alive? Is that a thing? Or is
not
it
really
best of luck?
No, we don't really have that sort of issue, I don't think. I think the most problematic thing we have with like pets is brown snakes. Because they're highly venomous. Just get the right word there.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, depending on where you live, if it's bushy in that and it's hot, usually in the summers, you'll get snakes. Where I am, we don't get it, and we're still relatively bushy, but you still have to be careful. And the problem is that dogs and cats go, oh, what's this thing? This is interesting, and we'll try and go for it as a toy, and then, of course, we'll get bitten, and it's quite deadly. It's quite a problem. So you do have to be mindful of that. Like, don't leave water out, in the summer, because it can attract things. But other than that, not really. I think most big things that you have to watch for just stay away.
I'm curious to see if it will play out the scientist theory about cats and snakes and cucumbers.
Who will win in this mighty species?
No. Just that people talk about, like, not all cats have that crazy reaction to cucumbers.
Right.
Yeah.
But a decent amount do.
Mine did not.
But the cat
that we had did not. It would eat it. It would just like start pawing on and eat it like it's a snack.
But scientists think
that cat would eat like celery and green onion.
But that scientists think that the cucumber reaction is a
snake reaction
holdover from
primordial.
If it sees a snake, it'll get away from it. It's like, all right, I'm kind of curious to see if, like, all the cats that survive in the rougher parts of Australia all have the extreme cucumber reaction. As they're the only ones who will be left.
Well, around here we have a problem with cats attacking snakes, venomous snakes. So let's see, we've got 5 kinds of rattlesnakes in Mississippi, the biggest one being the timber rattler. And then we have the water moccasin, which is I would say amphibious snake, because it prefers swamp water or muddy, ditch water. So it likes to hide in ditches, and then it will race after you on grass, or gravel. And those are the only venomous snakes in Mississippi. And you would think, like, hey, the rattlesnakes all have rattles. Surely the cat will learn. And then also, cats don't really like water. Won't they just stay away from places where you could find water moccasins? And yet, I know anybody living out in the country here, which is like the entire state, frankly, where regularly people lose cats in the summer in particular because they will mess with snakes, because cats don't like snakes. And I've told several people who live like even further in the country than we live, you need to get a pig. You need to get a perimeter pig, because pigs don't like snakes either, but they also are immune to snake venom. So, if you want your cats to survive, you got to get a perimeter pig. and it's just a pig you let roam.
And pigs are offended by snakes.
Yeah, pigs are downright offended by snakes. It's hilarious to see. It's hilarious to see because the snake cannot actually hurt the pig since pigs are immune to the venom. So it is hilarious to see like how pigs are like, "How dare you be a snake here?" Like, what is the problem? And the only people I know who don't have problems losing their cats to venomous snakes are, in fact, people who do get a pig. One of the smaller pigs, not like one of the big livestock pigs, but just get a smaller pet pig to protect all their cats. And it usually works out pretty well. But yeah, because like rattlesnakes around here are actually rather docile. I have accidentally run into some really enormous granddaddy rattlers. And you know how they got granddaddy? How they got that big is because they do not want to attack. And so it's like, we're just going to quietly like pass each other on this trail and not be uncool, man. And they're like, yeah, I just don't want to be here. So far, so good. Snakes in the riding community. I
think they qualify as poisonous.
AuthorTube has its fair share of poisonous folks.
And again, that's the beauty of building up your community, is you then have other people to talk to of, hey, have you had this experience before? Is it just me? Was it a fluke? Or is this repetitious behavior? This is a part of how they act.
Right.
Yeah. Honestly, it's one of the reasons why it took me an additional, I think, 8 months to a year to join AuthorTube. When I was first going to join AuthorTube, it's when a lot of stuff was going down. And we even had some people in the bookish AuthorTube-ish community jump in, which is why I was like, I'll stay out of it for a while. Because a couple of the people that I followed, one of them, she doesn't even post very much anymore, but they were like, look, this is what's going on. There were these toxic people in AuthorTube. I'm like, even here? No, I want nothing to do with this. And it was another several months before that whole thing was squashed and I felt comfortable, like, okay, maybe I can hop in here. Because it's like when everything else is just going kind of haywire in the world, you don't want to jump into another frying pan. And that's what AuthorTube at that time seemed like. And I guess there was a very popular AuthorTuber who just went toxic rogue for no reason. And it was a mess. Even some bigger people had to jump in and say, that's a mess.
Yeah, I had some reticence about joining the AuthorTube YouTube community. That sort of delayed for me joining, because I originally wanted to join in April of 2020. And I waited really till August to join because I was concerned that I didn't know how to navigate and how to be okay. And it was that I found a couple, like essentially a little subset of AuthorTube community that I felt safe with and I felt accepted by. And that I wanted to be a part of that. And that's where I was like, okay, well, let's give it a try. And if it's terrible, I just, we'll disappear again. It'll be fine. I'm glad, though, that I did find a little safe community to, be a part of, though, because I have made such amazing inroads in my writing and in actually being able to have publishable works because of so much support from my peer community here, in YouTube, and by extension, Instagram and Twitter and Twitch. I didn't even realize I would benefit this much from the support. I was like, I don't need cheerleaders. I've been doing this whole time, several decades without cheerleaders. I don't need cheerleaders. It's like, yeah, I don't need cheerleaders, but gosh, it does. It definitely helps on the dark days to know that there are people who are rooting for me, but also people who are ready to listen when I need to vent or just let it out of, it's all awful, I can't polish this turd any further, and this is all I'll do. And they're like, I understand how you feel, but I also don't think that you're accurate in this. It's like, thank you. That's what I need.
Yeah,
to hear.
it's that fellow community of understanding the pain of the writing process and the ups and downs and being able to relate with each other about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like that has essentially prevented me from quitting writing, however temporary that might be, but it's prevented me from doing that quit, get back on the wagon process that I had been doing for 20 years. It pretty much has changed that cycle. So essentially my lows aren't as low anymore. And I get back essentially on that wagon of writing much faster. So it used to take me months to get back into writing. And now it's like literally 2 or 3 days and I'm back in writing. So it's a very healthy thing. And that was partly what we wanted to talk about with like this particular episode, is essentially to address anybody who at least thought like me, where it's like, I don't know that I really need a writing community to write. Well, no, technically no. But they sort of, a writing community helps cushion us when we're down below the functional line, and also helps boost our highs to even higher, of like, to truly, when you deserve cheering, you get the applause, you get the cheering even before you published, you get that. So it's not having to wait that long period to even feel good about what you're doing. There's already people ready to cheer you on.
Yeah, it's that reassurance. If you doubt yourself on whether it's good or bad, you can bring it to the community and go, hey, I'm feeling like this isn't working, and they can kind of get you thinking or give some feedback. And if you really like it, they can give that reassurance that, yes, this is actually good. Especially like for me, for example, I don't have many other writers in my family at all. So I was pretty much alone in the writing side of things until I went into the community, and where I can get that reassurance that this isn't too bad, or, you know, when you're questioning, you're doubting yourself.
Yeah. And I think that the reading community does have that to offer as well, both for fellow readers. Because I know there's been times as a reader where I'm like, I've only hit duds for the last 5 or 10 books in a row. I don't know that I just am going to read for a while. And there's other readers going, okay, tell me what you like to read and I'll find you something. You know, and that has been similarly helpful. But also the other side of that, as a writer of, okay, reading community, I got something for you if you're interested. And to have such an immediate outpouring of support and encouragement. I mean, like, I know so many people talk about how the internet is such a toxic place, and I'm not going to actively disagree with that. There are plenty of toxic pockets. But to be able to so quickly and easily find supportive people on the internet for something that you're offering, oh, what a gift. Like, I was writing in the 90s, and it was not like that. There was so much gatekeeping that I had already given up on my dream of being a published author before the 21st century started. That's how much stranglehold of gatekeeping I experienced. So I just, like, now there's like hashtags, like if you have a free story or a free short story you're offering, you just literally put a link to the story or whatever they need to do. Like some people do, sign up for my newsletter to get the story. It'll get automatically onboarded to you, and then you can unsubscribe. It's okay. And, you know, like, but you can use like hashtags like free romance or free science fiction or whatever. And so those readers who actually want that can find it and then can promote it to their reading community. And you can get immediate feedback. People are happy to tell you, oh, I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for the story. And I mean, like, it can be so gratifying. I always joke with Tom about it. It's sort of like, so there's this movie called Soap Dish. I'm sure none of you have seen it. It's fine. Sally Fields is in it, and it is hilarious. Whoopi Goldberg as well. Fantastic. Robert Downey Jr. Oh, so slimy. It's fantastic. And there is something that happens every time Sally Field, who is like, she's like this top soap opera star. because it takes place on a soap opera set. So you can imagine the drama. And every time she's having a dark day, she's like, just no, my life is in ruins. Everybody's out to get me. Da, da, da. Whoopi Goldberg, her best friend and also the head writer of the show, says, do we need to go across the George Washington Bridge? And she's like, no, it's a crutch. And it's like, we'll just go this one time. She's like, okay, we'll go this one time. And what it is there's a mall in New Jersey, like whatever, through the Lincoln Tunnel or something. I don't know that much about New Jersey, but there's this mall. And what they do is this bit where they're going down the escalator, and when Whoopi Goldberg goes, oh, aren't you Celeste Talbot? Oh my God, look, you're Celeste Talbot. And suddenly all these people who are at the mall for shopping are like, oh, please, may I have your autograph? And they like start telling Celeste, that's Sally Field's character, how they love her on whatever the sun also sets. Oh, it's so wonderful. Oh, please hold my baby. Please sign my checkbook. Oh, this is so lovely. That sort of thing. And Celeste then feels better and is ready to go back into the world and deal with this incredibly overly dramatic, cutthroat, filming soap opera set. And sometimes I think about, yes, it's sort of over dramatized, but as creative people, we put our soul and our heart out there so much with our creative works. And then we sometimes feel insecure about that. Of like, well, will anyone appreciate it? Am I putting out good stuff? How can I know? That to get a response from, the intended people, the viewers, the readers, whatever, depending on your creative work, it can be so gratifying to find out, oh no, people do actually like what you're doing. They appreciate you. It can, bolster us to keep going. I'll stop talking now.
No, it's true.
Yeah, it is very true. It's good to have that support in what you're doing, and especially because you care so much about writing or whatever you're doing. It's good to have that support and reassurance to say, no, this is all right. It's not too bad, or good on you, and things like that, especially when you're feeling down about whatever you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I always wondered, does anyone even like the articles I write? How would I know? Because, in the old format, so I originally was writing for newspapers a long time ago. Usually the only feedback you ever get is people writing letters to the editor, and it's usually to complain. You don't get hardly any letters to the editor that is, you're all doing great and I love what you're doing. Every once in a while you might, but for the most part, you don't get that. And they certainly get drowned out by all the people that are like, how can you not understand how commas work? Legitimate. I also, too, want to sometimes threaten the life of my copy editor, but what are you going to do? She's also a college student. What am I doing? So that was the old format of how newspapers worked. Now, some newspapers have comment sections, which, again, can be cesspits, but some don't. And so, again, you don't get much feedback, let alone positive feedback. And then I was writing for a regional magazine. And again, there's no way to get interaction from readers, except because some of them found out I worked at a library. They started coming in. And that was really nice to hear from readers of oh, we love your articles. We only pick up this magazine to read your stuff. And I'm like, oh, I was not expecting this level of compliment, but thank you. But again, it's not really these old publishing formats are not really set up to be able to get that kind of feedback. And so you're just sort of left there hanging. I always think of, those old, who remembers those old motivation posters? That's like a kitten hanging from a branch.
Hang in there, kitty.
Hang in there, kitty. That's how I would feel as a creative person of I am just writing to the void. I had an editor that I was like, you don't really edit my stuff. Is it you just don't have much chance, much time? Is it because I need to turn it in sooner? And he was like, no, we just figure it's fine. And we just, honestly, for the longest time, we didn't think anyone read your stuff. So it didn't really matter that I didn't edit it. That was literally
no.
Wow.
Yeah. And then when it started becoming obvious people were reading my articles, mostly because they were writing in to complain. It was a sex column. Then he started editing it, and we got actually more complaints So when he stopped editing it, we got less complaints again. So he was like, yeah, I just decided I apparently don't know how to edit it. No, that's not actually what I wish he had said that, but he did not say that. He was much ruder, but he was like, yeah, so I just don't bother with yours. That was what he said. And I was like, works for me. Because I was too busy trying not to get expelled from the university for writing that sex column in the university newspaper.
It wasn't like a racy Dear Abby?
No. No. Well,
No, it was more of a sexual health.
yeah, I wrote sexual health articles. And the president of the university thought that was a terrible thing and wanted to expel me for writing it. Now, there was nothing like explicit, like it was educational. Okay. It, like, I don't know how to say, like it had no curse words. And if I hardly ever actually talked about actual genitalia. But if I did, like, there was a time, it was the Human Sunday article. They wanted me to write a puff piece. So I wrote a puff piece. The editor wanted me to write a puff piece. So I wrote the Human Sunday article, and essentially it was about foreplay. And I was like, there's things you need to be aware of, like do not use a metal bowl and put ice cream in it and then put it on a human body. You go get frostbite. The president of the university was very upset. I also said, don't put like direct sugar syrup on like a human body. It's called a yeast infection. Do not do this. You need to like use other, like we all want to do the whipped cream on the skin, but you need to be careful where you do that. And then you need to shower it off because candida. And that was it. Like, again, as I said, I did not actually mention genitalia or like specifics. It wasn't like step 1. Do jaw exercises. Step 2. I didn't. At least I'm pretty sure I didn't.
No, you didn't.
Okay, I was like, did I? No, I didn't. Because it was a puff piece. And yeah, the president of the university was like, she has to go. She can never darken our doors again. And that's how he found out that thanks to the civil rights movement and the nefarious acts of the Sovereignty Commission, he could not kick me out or disband the newspaper because they had done that during the civil rights movement on our university campus. So, so then when they let the university newspaper back on, this time they set it up so that essentially it was illegal to disband it next time. So, yes, that's right. The civil rights movement came and I benefited. Awkward, but there it was. And apparently people in Australia got really upset that he was trying to kick me out because it made Australian news. And suddenly we had all these Australians commenting on my articles every week because they didn't understand why everybody was up in arms about these articles because Australia is awesome.
You're pretty chill about a lot of things.
Right, especially like college level sex education, because my thinking was this. In Mississippi, it's abstinence-only sex education. So a lot of people don't understand what abstinence-only means. They think they do. Let me explain. In abstinence-only sex education, sex does not exist. So therefore, STIs do not exist and pregnancy do not exist. So what are they teaching? They're just teaching you not to do the things that biologically everybody's interested in doing. I say everyone, I don't mean to like remove ace people from existence, but I'm just saying like most people want to do. That's it. That's why there's hardly any abstinence-only sex education. You don't have to have many classes. It's just, resist those urges. That's pretty much the whole class. That's it. Oh, and also I think they do go over deodorant. Yes, sugar residue. You also get ants. And I said ants shouldn't be considered an STI, but sometimes if you get enough ants in a bed, it's going to feel like an STI. Like,
no, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of Archer lately, and that's just brilliant.
These were snarky articles. Like, I also suggested that people go flirt at bookstores and libraries because at least you know that the other people are most likely literate.
Maybe that's what I need to do.
My theory is like, don't literate people deserve a little flirtation? Maybe a coffee? I'm just saying. Also, at least you'll know what they're interested in reading. That's my theory. And so that was before I ever heard John Waters make this pitch. I had made this pitch in writing. Now, what got my article in the Kinsey Institute archives was that somebody emailed and asked me to go over polyamory. And I was happy to explain polyamory. And the way I explained it was the serial scene from City Slickers, the movie, where the guys are on their horses, and they're talking about what if every day, you get up, and I think it was cornflakes. I can't remember if it was Raisin Bran or cornflakes, but every day you eat your favorite cereal. And for years you eat your favorite cereal. And then one day you wake up and you're just not hungry anymore. And that was what they were afraid about with monogamy. They're afraid that if they got married and committed to one person, what if they just at a certain point wouldn't want to be intimate anymore? And they were afraid of that. And so I said, oh, well, good news. With polyamory, you don't have to just have one cereal. You can have as many boxes on top of that refrigerator as you want. And all the boxes know about each other. You can have Raisin Bran one day and then Fruit Loops the next day, and neither are upset because they know about each other and they're fully accepting of this situation. And apparently, supposedly, no one had ever in English print described polyamory in terms of serial love.
I mean, that is a good way to explain it. Honestly.
It works.
Yeah. And so that was what I was like, that's polyamory. I was like, but the Raisin Bran knows about the Fruit Loops and they all know about the corn flakes. And then you bring in, Fruity Pebbles and everybody's like, yay, another one. Great. And sometimes they're like, oh, we could mix it up. But, that's up to an individual polyamorous group. To make up their own rules. That was what I said in the article. And apparently no one had ever done that before in print. So, yeah, he wanted to expel me. The crazy part was the degree I was getting was his daughter was the dean of my department. It got real awkward. And I had to have a meeting with her. And she started off with, why are you writing for that filthy rag, the student prince? That was literally the first things out of her mouth when she closed the door and I sat down. But look, don't worry. 2 hours later, when she opened the door, she was hugging me and telling me that I was doing God's work. So it's all good, yeah. Hi, Laura.
Hi.
I hope you all have enjoyed my story time. That I did not intend to do that, but I was just trying to point out we are in the 21st century, and it is so much easier to essentially establish or to rekindle your relationship with reader communities and fellow writer communities. There's a wonderful hashtag both on Instagram and Twitter called Writing Community. If you just use hashtag Writing Community, it is a wonderful way to connect with other writers. Also, if you're looking to promote or you need help with a boost, there is hashtag Writer Lift or Writers Lift. Both of them work. Anytime you have something that you essentially are asking for help boosting. And so anyone else looking through then can just retweet you or click like to help boost you in the algorithm.
And it's not just books, like even a short story, a blog post, a book coming out, or like a website, anything writing related, and you want more exposure to it, just put it, usually just put it down in the comments and everyone goes, not everyone, but you usually get a few views or a few shares from it. At least I do when I take the time to do it. I feel like I get sucked down in Twitter whenever I go in there.
I mean, I like it. It's nice to find other groups. There's also, just by the way, not that anyone asked, but I'm going to mention it anyway. There's other wonderful hashtags, such as Shameless Self Promo Saturday and Shameless Self Promo Sunday. Or just Shameless Self Promo for any day of the week. Sarah Sutton was the one who originally told me about this one, not personally. Like, I was just watching one of her videos. Or actually, I want to say it may have been one of her live streams where she talked about a long time ago she started doing that. And then she was like, every writer needs to get in the habit of tooting their own horn. And I'm like, okay, what does this 20-year-old have to teach me? But y'all, if you know about her writing career, she is taking off. And I was like, well, she has a point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I say that as somebody who I think has only used that hashtag like 3 times. It's a
I
journey.
used the shameless self-promotion and the lip when I was early on when I was on Twitter, and it worked, and people were super nice, and they're like, what are you working on? And I would tell them, and they're really cool. I got quite a few followers, and you follow, kind of like you follow each other, and they're like, no, go ahead, tell us the thing that you're working on, and they would retweet it, and I'd be like, this is what I'm working on. They would retweet it. It was really cool. And then if other people liked that, then they would follow you. So yeah, it was helpful. I didn't stick with it because I didn't stick with Twitter. But if I ever do go back to Twitter, then I'll probably do another one once my comic is out there. It'll be a little bit more challenging for the things that I'm going to write under under a pen name, because I don't know how that will work then. So, but for the stuff that I'm writing under the writer name that I'm using now, that'd be great.
I mean, like, you could always think about setting up a separate Twitter account if that's what you wanted for your pseudonym, for your pen name, because Twitter has the ability that you can have multiple accounts linked, like, so that you can decide which account you're posting to on your phone. And you don't have to log out of one to do it.
Wow.
Like, you can be logged into
Instagram
all of them at
too.
the same time. And yeah, both Instagram and Twitter have this ability. So it's just something to think about. Because, like, I have both my personal account on Twitter and I also have my, writing account. And I can tweet on both separately without logging out of one. I change, essentially, you click on which profile picture you want to then tweet through. But you're still logged into all of them. There's no constantly with passwords or anything. So it's something to think about.
Speaking of Twitter, how important do you think it is as a writer trying to promote their platform? Like, is it one of the necessary social medias to have an account on?
It kind of is at the moment, and it's kind of something that's been happening over the last 10 years. Some booktubers just did a really good discussion where they talk about did Twitter break YA, because there used to be where you could have a separation between the author and the readers, and that separation has kind of broken down. It's harder to be anonymous, and write with a pen name, because especially in YA, the readers now have this expectation that now they have access to you. And if they don't, they want to know where you, particularly on Twitter, they want to know where you stand on things. They want to know what you're doing. Some of them want to know everything that you're doing. And if you don't want to tell them, that is upsetting to them. And they'll lash out. There was one writer who wouldn't give her character a birthday. And a sect of her readers wanted this character to have a birthday because they wanted to, I don't know if it was due the astrological signs or something that they wanted. And then they ended up harassing the author. Just some weird dynamics have happened, but a lot of things are promoted through Twitter. And what happened was they talked about how Twitter was used to promote these people's YA books, but what it's become now is kind of this thing that wasn't expected, where the writers are now subjected to things that they had no intention or no desire. A lot of writers are very introverted people. They don't want to be out there on social media. They don't want to be promoting their things. They don't want to have their face out there. They don't want to have to be engaging. But because things have changed, that's harder not to do. And so then when you don't do it, it's going to make some things a little harder. as far as promotion wise. And getting your work out there. I would recommend watching that particular. I don't know if it was a community or it's one of those. It was either on Books by Woe or Jess Owens. It's on one of their channels and it's called the Twitter Break YA, and they really go through the whole. It's really about writers, readers, and both writers and readers, and what that expectation is, why so many people are fleeing Twitter, why some of them won't leave Twitter, the need for it, a lot of things that cross over and cross link us. So I would recommend if you're not booktubish, was actually very, very informative.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to check it out because it seems like it's another branch to get into for building that audience and connecting with other authors and writers. And I find also, because I'm mainly on Instagram and Twitch, they're very visual. And so if you don't necessarily have a picture to post, but you want to do an update on like, oh, this is my word count, it doesn't work as well for that media, whereas it would work for Twitter. And that's why I've been considering it lately. Also because there's heaps of people on there, but
Yeah,
check that out.
I have found that like we have received, like the show alone has received a lot of support from Twitter. More than a few of our people who subscribe to our YouTube account are from Twitter, like random people who've never struck a conversation with me. They liked one post about the show that I do on Mondays and, subscribe, and they maybe showed up one time in chat. But like, as I said, like before, I noticed that people do watch on the replay, after we conclude this broadcast, like throughout the week, people do catch up. And I kind of figure, it must be those people who, essentially it's why I list lurking is totally cool, of like, it really is okay. You don't need to actively engage for me to be happy with a person. Of like, it's fine, lurk all you want. And a lot of that has to do with Twitter, it would seem, from the support of just various people. And so that's, as I said, the writing community hashtag was very helpful, as well as like, particularly when we're doing the Awkward Sibling Hour show, which we will be starting back up in August, which is about autism and autism-related issues. So we use the hashtag actually autistic, which is one of the very few hashtags that has not been co-opted by autism hate groups. Because they are not. I found incredible amounts of support that way, and that Twitter has that sort of groundswell that really people are there to essentially be grassroots support in a way that I don't automatically see elsewhere.
Yeah.
Tom, are you muted?
No.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of agents and whatnot were telling their authors that they need to be on Twitter because the reach is just so incredible. So it's useful if you can avoid making any hiccups. If you make a hiccup on there, it's not Twitter is not forgiving. It's not a place for nuance. Know what you're posting. Know the community that you're trying to interact with, because you do need to be careful. Even people who have said things that they didn't realize were wrong, it's hard to take steps backwards once you've said something that may or may not be wrong or may easily be misinterpreted, or maybe you really just were being a jerk. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, it's hard to step back.
Well, it's like the problem, the difficulty with Twitter is Twitter, because you can just post words and links, is a more emotional social media group, platform rather, because you can just post words versus when you have to find pictures to go with your words. It really reduces the just emotional responding. And so that's the ups and downs of Twitter.
Mhm.
Is that you're talking to everyone on emotional levels, not on as much cerebral levels.
And there's no room for nuance, and because it's not a video, they can't hear the inflections of your voice, so they're going to interpret those words however they interpret it in their head. So you
true.
can say the most nonchalant thing, but if they're hearing it as you coming at them or within that, then they're going to interpret it the wrong way, and they'll have people that will agree with them, and then it can become a thing. So I just say on Twitter, really be careful about what you say, who you're engaging with. And there are people on Twitter who will deliberately, they're trolls basically.
Yep.
And they're looking to twist something that you say to get your own community to go against you. And they're just looking to start the fire and then walk away. So just, you have to be careful about that more on Twitter than I say you do on Instagram or YouTube, where you can have long conversations. And they talked about this too. So we can have long conversations. We can have actual discussions. That's can't happen on Twitter. Just the nature of the beast, the way it is. If you have a long statement, you got to have the whole thing ready to go, boop, 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 to make those posts sequentially. Because if you're taking your time to write it out, they're going to capture and someone's going to screen record that one little piece, and it's all over. That's happened to N.K. Jemisin, where she was making a whole long statement. She got drug into something she had nothing to do with, and she was literally supporting the person that other people were coming against her about. So and then she just deleted it, and then they're like, "It's okay, we screenshot." It's like, I had a whole statement. You guys just took that one little piece, and she's like, "Never mind." She went straight to the smaller author, and they discussed it. It was understood. So a whole big thing. She was drug into a whole big thing that was a nothing. I mean, I'm not saying any author is perfect. She's done some other things, and she's generally she's fine, But you know what I'm saying? Nobody's perfect. But you have to really be careful when you're engaging.
Is really required on Twitter. There's not room for nuance.
No place for nuance.
And so, you make your statements and that's it. But also, like, I found, truthfully, the creative community on Twitter, specifically Twitter, the writing community group, we're so supportive overall. I would say overall. Like, I understand there's bad actors everywhere. Wherever there's humans, there's bad actors. If only I could socialize exclusively with dogs and cats, I would be okay. But wherever there's people, you're going to have bad actors. But I found there's far less among the writing community on Twitter. And the reading community that I have interacted with on Twitter, which is mostly like, hey, I got a free story. If you want it, here's the link. Have been really nice and supportive and never had any kind of negative interactions with. So that's all I can say. Like, versus just general random people on Twitter just looking because they're bored. Like, yeah, I imagine that bored people get up to no good plenty of times.
Yeah. And just stay out of mess. If you see mess, go the other way. Don't let someone drag you into it. Don't do it.
But yeah, like,
the benefits can be really, really good if it's a platform you want to navigate.
I have many a time now used Twitter though to because of print, because of the words, people at least used to be far more open about what they actually believed and who they are on Twitter. And I could essentially do, just like Eva talked about, do research on writers and other, entertainers, and find out what they really think. Because I'm not interested in supporting TERFs. So I want to know that people recognize that human rights are human rights. Just because somebody is trans doesn't mean they no longer deserve human rights. I don't understand that. So trying to ditto for racism. Like, oh yeah, I would scan through back in the day of like, have they made a bad joke? Have they, said something, about Martin Lawrence when he was having one of his meltdowns from drug addiction? Like, I would go through, and if they had okay, I don't need to be giving this person my money. Spending time with their creative works. It was something that I used to do in particular, just to see like what are they like on Twitter? Because Instagram, people just put all these pretty pictures. Oh, here's my food. Okay, that's fine. But like, you really see who they are when it's just print.
Yeah.
It's just
when you have to read whatever they've said.
Read their thoughts, because they're people. It's funny. People don't censor their thoughts as much as they might censor their pictures. It's kind of
that's weird.
It's odd.
Yeah, someone was saying like, do you stop and think, like, would you say this to someone to their face? And that there are people who actually, I don't know if it's because they feel like they can't say something to someone's face, they take it out on when they're on the internet. They're like, well, now I get to say all the things I never get to say. I'm like, why would you do that? Go just, I don't know. It's weird to me.
Yep.
I don't know.
So I figured we'd do another bio break, maybe stretch the legs a little. And when we come back, we're going to wrap up talking about any further solutions. So if you've got burning questions or what about this, what about that, our panel will put our heads together. We'll figure out what we can figure out. So let's see. Let me do the things. Okay. Are we ready? Is everybody ready? I'll see y'all in a few minutes. You did it. Beep, 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 beep. Yay. Welcome back, everyone. How did it go?
Well,
I didn't get up. It's a lot of hard work to get up off my bed and get back on.
I'm really glad I didn't get up.
Okay. I mean, it really is. So we live in an RV, and so our bed is on like a queen bed platform. And so we upgraded from a thin RV mattress to one that's like really, it's like this thick. So my husband has to use a step stool to get up on it. I mean, because he has his legs on, but making the bed or climbing up and off the bed is just a lot. It's a lot of work. So sometimes I don't need to pee yet. I'm good. I can wait.
Relatable. I am in here with cables and wires, and like to get out is like a whole production, and it's like, I'm here. I'm here for now.
Yes.
So yeah, I did not do much. I sent pictures of cats to Tom.
That's legit.
Yeah, a lot of really great looking pictures of cats. As suggestions. I'm just
his dog looks, or his dog avatar looks really worried and concerned. Like, just saying, looks a little concerned there. The way he's just staring at you.
It's like no treats. You're between meals.
That's what it looks like.
It does. He's like, but so hungry. Like, no, you're not. You just ate.
Aww.
I got onto Twitter and started doing things on there.
Doing the
thing.
So speaking of Twitter, okay, so like everyone that's like, oh, you're wanting to write a book and like get it out there, you should like claim all the social media, whatever, with your name, the name that you want to choose. So
yes.
my freaking problem is that my first and last name here is my real first and last name, which is fine. Like, I don't care if people know that I'm going to write books. Like, I'm writing books, people know, and my family and friends and all that. The problem is, which I didn't know it until after after I already written my first book. There's another Stephanie Whitson that writes books, and like she's much older than I am, and hers is more like historical romance type fiction type books. But that meant like I wanted a just StephanieWhitson.com domain name for the website that I have that has like 2 things on it. But I couldn't just put Stephanie Whitson because she already has one that has Stephanie Whitson. So I had to write Stephanie M. Whitson, which I've already gotten used in my day-to-day life to sign my name Stephanie M. Whitson because my sister-in-law, my husband's sister, her name is also Stephanie.
I would not think that Stephanie and Whitson are like, goes together like peas and carrots, and yet here we are. Like, I've learned a lot.
Okay, just an idea. Just fallen. What about S&M Whitson?
Oh, Tom, how dare you?
Oh dear.
Oh my god.
Did you break stuff?
Yeah, so like, what was that?
You froze for a second. I was like, did Tom just break stuff?
So
you're back.
Like, I'm on Twitter, right? And like, I've tried like SM Whitson, I've tried S Whitson, I've tried like just Whitson Writer, like. So that's why on Twitter it's Steph Whitson 24 because that's the number that wasn't taken already. So there's that, and so,
That
Steph
many?
Whitson 24. Apparently, yeah. I didn't know it was such a common freaking name. I mean, Stephanie is a common name. Like, I get that.
As much as you can, I would, if you can switch everything to Steph N. Whitson or Steph Whitson, and that way people will know that one's you. If they're going to click and find like 3 writers, an artist, a gymnast, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what Twitter handle would be the best to go with. I mean, I would like if there wasn't a number on attached to it, but sometimes that can't be helped. Like Becca C. Smith, she's on Twitter as like Becca C. Smith or Becca Smith 222 or something on the
Yeah,
end.
I was going to say Rebecca Smith, that one's probably like got a lot. So yeah, you got to do something like that. And then if you've only found that you and this other one are writers, just make your name a little bit distinguished from her. So if you're Steph Whitson or Steph N. Whitson, that way people will know which writer they're going to when they find or want to look you up.
And I'm not even sure if this other author is even on Twitter. I just know she has like hundreds of books on Amazon. Because like when I started my Amazon Author Central account page thing, they're like, "Oh, are these books yours?" And a bunch of them came up with hers. I'm like, "No."
Wow.
So that, and that was one of the things that I was debating whether to use a pen name or my real name. But then I was like, well, if my book ever gets on the bookshelf, I want to say, "Oh, this is me." Like see my real name on a bookshelf if it ever got to that point. So,
but Steph may be your best option.
Maybe just Steph Whitson, or S. Whitson or something. Because on my books I have.
Can you do Steph Whitson writer or Steph Whitson author? Is that one taken instead of a number?
Well, on Instagram I have author Stephanie Whitson, but either regulars like Stephanie Whitson's taken, I think. Oh, you mean on Twitter, like author Stephanie Whitson?
Yeah.
I don't know if that might be too many letters. I'm not sure how many letters they allow you.
It might be
on a thing. So, but I can't edit my handle on Twitter on my phone. I have to go on my laptop and do it. That's the only thing I can't edit on my phone.
All right. Yeah. Just Eva had a comment. I don't think that social followers translate. From what I've heard, your social followers don't translate into book sales unless they're specifically following you because you're Stephen King or something like that. If that makes sense. But yeah, same. She had a comment earlier. She said she hadn't heard anyone having success as a writer based on their following on social media. No, I think that kind of works the other way around. If you become big, then people all will want to follow you.
Well, I know Sarah Sutton said her sales, especially in her early days with her first romance, were definitely driven by her Twitter posts, which is why she was recommending to everybody to use hashtag shameless self-promotion or self-promo Saturday, because she was like, you could literally see every time I did it, I would sell 5 to 10 books. Like every time. So that's why she was recommending it. And she had gotten thousands of followers on Twitter that way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, I think it is possible if you can find the reading community, you can then drive sales through the reading community through various social media platforms.
And it's still
your social media platforms should be viewed more as advertising. They are how you get the word out. This is how you get people to talk about you. But it is an indirect way of getting sales.
But it's part of the marketing, because if you don't have anyone at all, then you're not going to get very far either.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I don't remember what normally the percentage is of, if you have a certain number of followers, what percentage it is. But yeah, it's working for Sarah Sutton. So there you go.
I mean,
I had heard that too when I came on to too, but I heard the same thing that Eva is saying right there, that the sales your following count didn't necessarily translate into sales. Yeah. But that doesn't mean you can't make it work for you if you work it.
I would look at it like I would look at any advertising platform, whether you want to advertise on Facebook or Instagram or in print, or however you are unrolling your advertising campaigns. It's another way to let people know who want to know. Like, when I was young, I always heard advertising is a burden for viewers or, for the end consumer. But I'm here to tell you, there is definitely a subset of people who are looking to shop who do not see advertising as a burden, but instead see it as a way to inform them about items available that they did not know were available.
I mean, I hate to admit it, but I like about 20% of the ads on Instagram.
Yeah.
In that I'd never heard of this stuff. Go on.
Yeah, that's how I found out about those tap shoe things that fit over your shoes and you could tap. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Tom, I want this one day. It's $50. Of like, because I miss tapping. When I was a little girl, I used to be in tap dance class and I loved it. And I'm like, wait, I can put it over sneakers, because that was my other issue with tap shoes now, is like, oh, they are not comfortable. I am old. I need supportive shoes. And you can put it over sneakers. I found out about that existence on Instagram ad. I found out about various forms of plus size underwear on Instagram as well. Not that I was buying those, but it's like, well, now I know. Plus a lot of modeling stuff. And because I follow one PCOS account on Instagram, I am endlessly advertised to about their recruiting for some testing of some PCOS drug. Endlessly. But I have learned about it. I didn't even know that was, happening until I got those ads. So the ads can be useful if you are you're in the market. And that's how I think of like hashtags and stuff on various social media platforms. Is it can be a way to learn about products available or whatever's available.
Yeah.
Look,
people are searching those hashtags. I mean, you only need a few people searching in a particular hashtag to look and say, hey, look at this person's whatever the hashtag is. Let me go check it out. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm all about if you can use whatever medium you can use to promote. It's like free commercials, kind of, free advertisement. These hashtags using your social media. So take advantage where you can. Learn how the platforms work, how they can work for you, and go with it. I'm learning. I've stepped back from Twitter just because I just kind of wanted to, I don't know, be kind of. It's just, and it also has to do with the things that you follow and also who you are. And as a Black woman following other Black women, we get hit with a lot of stuff. So I'm seeing a lot of stuff that maybe some people aren't seeing, and are like, so it's a different experience.
I think it's helpful
for me
to also understand.
I'm not following toxic people. I don't follow toxic people, but the things that affect them, they're going to be posting and retweeting the things that affect them, and the things that affect them are also things that affect me. But for my mental health, I'm like, I'm tired. I live in the South in the most conservative community in the world. I don't need any more. I don't, stop.
I think
so. It's just not for me.
It can be helpful when people understand how to use platforms. So, for instance, one thing that I only learned because of the last 4 or 5 years. So on Twitter, I know this for a fact. I'm not as sure on Instagram, but I'm pretty sure on Instagram. Like, let's say at least 80% sure. If you find that a toxic person has wandered into your life on that platform, like not necessarily they're attacking you, but you just see them and you're like, this person sucks. Go ahead and block them so that they cannot take advantage of the people you follow to harass. Because what trolls are doing is they are essentially setting up these harassment chains. Like they find, like for instance, yes, they find one Black woman and they'll go through everybody she's following or who follows her and harass those people and set them up, follow them now so they can harass them later. And they do this. So if you block them, then they can't take advantage of your follow group to harass the people who follow you. It's a way to protect your own people. And I don't think enough people know about this little trick on Twitter. And also, as I said, I'm like 80% certain this also applies on Instagram. And so it is a way to protect your people from trolls. Because there really are some hateful people, y'all. It's just how it is. Living in Mississippi, I've met plenty of them in real life. My state is the state with Byram De La Beckwith. Who's watched Mississippi Burning lately? Yeah. Okay, that's where I live. That's where I grew up. I've had to deal with this my whole life. I have real life trolls. I don't need online trolls. So I am a troll ninja. I deal with trolls. And, part of it is by cutting them off at the source. What feeds them?
Yeah.
So
I did find out recently, because I know you mentioned that before about the blocking. I'm like, that is such a good idea. And then watching other people who I follow, watching their videos, some of them actively say, I don't block anybody because if they've got something to say, and I'm like, ooh, that might be part of the problem. Is that if you feel like I'm not going to block them because I don't want them to think that they run me off or that I'm scared to engage, then that they don't realize, I guess, that that's perpetuating the problem. Like the people I follow are not the problem. Yeah, they're feeding the trolls and they don't even know it.
Yeah, they don't understand.
But the trolls have set it up that if you block them, they're like, haha, this person was scared and they blocked me. And so they don't want to be that person that was scared.
Versus it's like, it ain't fear, it's called brains. Hi. Go back to high school. Bye-bye.
Yeah, nobody wants to engage with you. We don't have time for
also,
you.
Anybody thinks that people who are blocking due to abusive behavior is scared are fools already. Like, and again, you don't need people like that in your life. It's right up there with people who tell you that you've added too much cheese to the macaroni and cheese. You don't need haters like that in your life. People who tell you you've added too much butter to the garlic bread. You don't need haters like that in your life. You know, I'm just saying, like, you don't need those people in your life. Yeah. The people who are like, oh, are you so afraid? I'm like, again, I block you now too. Like, I don't need that. No, you know why? Because I don't have to go to high school anymore. Yeah, I have escaped. I did my time. I did not actually serve all my time. I went ahead and got the GED, and I moved on. I worked instead full time till I, could afford to go to college. I did that. I was like, no, I do not have to go to day prison any longer. Yeah, that's how I felt about high school. It's a prison where like all the prisoners are allowed to go home at night. It was the craziest thing, and I'm just not a fan.
I'll say everyone has forgotten about how real life works. Which is, if you bring nothing good to the group leaves you. You're not, if you're not paying to be around, then why would we even interact?
Yeah.
There's no reason to.
Yeah, and you pay in your good vibes, in your constructive feedback. You pay in what you bring to the group because your perspective, if it enriches the group, they are going to like, hey, you got to come back? Hey, we'd love to see you again. Hey, here's a link. Whatever it is. So we pay with our positive presence or we pay with our negative presence. And at a certain point, other people, if we're paying with a negative presence, they're like, I do not want this payment anymore. Please keep it. Thank you so much. Yeah.
And Amy, if you do, because you said you're looking at Twitter now, so if you do one of those shameless self-promotions and to say, hey, I'm a new writer, just want to promote myself, let me know because I'll follow you because mostly that's what I follow now. It's just other writers. Even though I don't use my Twitter very much, I go on there maybe once every couple of weeks because I like to avoid the drama. But when I do go on, it is to follow other writers.
We like to follow other writers, other people on this journey with us, and also because especially when we already know a person, then it's so easy to then boost.
Oh, definitely.
I'm like, I love being part of people's street team. I love being supportive. It feels good, doesn't it? To be able to be like supportive without having to evaluate, is this okay? No, it's all good. Let's do it.
Yeah, they've been checked.
Yeah, they've been verified. They're good in my life. They're good.
Yeah, I don't have to go investigate. What did they say 10 years ago and have their views change?
Yes,
definitely.
Have to have a heart-to-heart talk about. Please do not use this word anymore about Romani. It's not nice. It's a bad word. Yes, it's so lovely. It's lovely.
It's good.
Not have to worry. But
I like supporting.
Yes, yes. We love supporting the people we love.
Definitely.
So did anybody chat or on panel have any questions or scenarios or anything about community building? The only thing I have to bring up, it's been on my list for 6 months and I forgot last time we did community building to mention it, so I'm going to bring it up here even if it seems non sequitur. I wanted to talk about momentarily, sometimes as somebody who's chronically ill, the minimum you can do to be supportive. It's not something most people think about because they're like, no, I don't want to do the minimum. I want to do the maximum. But sometimes when you are chronically ill or whatever, you're just very busy or anxious or whatever, the minimum is still better than none.
Mm-hmm.
So, like
Definitely.
in 4-H, we have a phrase called good, better, best. Do what's good, and if you can, do what's better, and if you can, do what's best, but at least try to do what's good. You know, that's good, better, best. That's what we try for. So I wanted to talk about, like, in supporting other author tubers we know and love. Click like on their videos, because when we click like, what it actually does, according to the algorithm gods, it lets other people who have similar view histories to you. That means the algorithm is more likely to recommend it to people with similar view histories to you in the recommended. So every time you click like on something, that's what you're telling the YouTube algorithm of, like, hey, people who view stuff like I view it, you know, who watch the same kind of videos and so on, they might like this, so put it in their recommended timeline feed. So if you comment, like, you don't have to say pithy things. Now, I say this now as I'm like the worst person. I try to comment on people's stuff and my mind goes blank. It's absolutely terrible. It's right up there with, like, I have genuine anxiety about spelling bees because I'm dyslexic. And I've had plenty of childhood trauma about that. And then when I get into comments, it's like, what am I going to say? Great job, thumbs up. Okay, but yeah. But you know what? That would be better than me saying nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it gives the person whose video I'm commenting on an opportunity to engage, because that's what the algorithm's actually looking at. They're looking at, do you engage? By the way, same thing on Twitter. Twitter's looking to see when somebody replies to yours, do you at least click like, or do you engage, or do you reply in any way?
Mm-hmm.
They're looking, Instagram is the same. Like, there's not really that much difference of the algorithms is looking, do you engage in any way? And how long can you keep an engagement chain going, if possible? And they know not every engagement is really an engagement worth, like, chaining this, but it's nice if you can skew it. So friends help by friends by keeping engagement chains going, which, let me just say, the minimum you can do, for instance, on Twitter, is you could post a GIF, whatever. Don't at me about how to pronounce it. It took me literally decades to pronounce it one way, and then the guy dies, and now we can pronounce it any way we want. But you can literally just post GIFs to each other with maybe an emoji, and the algorithm still counts that as engagement, because Tom and I have tested that.
Huh.
And so for several weeks, the algorithm will show your posts, your tweets sooner on people's timelines than other people who have lower engagement for several weeks. It doesn't last forever. It's just like, what is it, like 2 to 4 weeks usually, Tom?
Yeah.
Because we've played this game a bunch to test out the algorithm to figure out how it would behave. I think the deepest we've ever gone on a interaction chain of mostly emojis was like 9 interactions total, like between each of us. Like, I did it 9 times, he did it 9 times. We would just go back and forth over several hours. You don't have to do it immediately. Like, you can do it like over a day, and it will help boost you. So you can help your friends by doing these things, especially if you let your friend know what you're trying to do, so they understand how you're expecting them to engage. Because you're trying to, like, for instance, help their algorithm scores. So I just wanted to mention that. I know most people don't talk about what is the minimum you can do to be supportive of people, but, like, for me, as somebody who sometimes I'm just barely squeaking by, sometimes I think it really matters if we talk about what is the minimum we can help people. Again, it doesn't cost us anything. Just click a like, click a heart, put an emoji or a GIF in a reply to them, or do a quote tweet and put something. Anything counts as an engagement. You can help your friends that way.
So
Definitely.
on my Instagram, whenever anybody I follow has, like, they're talking about a book that they're going to be coming out soon, or a release date, or a cover reveal, I just always generally automatically just share that post to my story. As I mean, I like it, and I'll say, "Oh, it looks great," or "I look forward to just reading it," or whatnot. But I always end up putting it in my story, because I know that sometimes people stroll Instagram posts more frequently, and other people just look through the stories for the highlights and stuff. So I feel like if it's in both places, it kind of helps boost them being seen, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does help. And yes, some people pretty much only look at stories, and some people only look at the timelines, like on Instagram. And some of it has to do with demographics. Again, we go back to demographics. So the ones who look at stories tend to skew. I'm not saying this is 100%, y'all. It's what it skews to younger and female. Tend to look primarily at stories over their timeline feed on Instagram. And then also the mothers of younger females tend to look at stories more because their children are influencing their behavior on social media platforms. So on Twitch skews pretty young, usually under 28 years old. Except there's one little blip on demographics, which is mothers of middle school and high school age children also are on Twitch because they're already trying to evaluate what their children are looking at, watching, and they're watching them with them. And so then they're like, well, while I'm here, I guess I'll go look at, mom stuff. I'm sorry to say it does not skew to dads. It only skews to moms so far, unfortunately. I feel like, sexism. But not saying like Twitch isn't allowing dads. I just, parenting. But that is like, something to keep in mind about various platforms have various demographics, and within that behaviors skew to various demographics. And so if you're going to be a YA author or a middle grade author, it's something to think about.
Yep. And Eva had a comment, I think it was Eva, about the work. Yeah.
Which one?
Having YouTube channel offers this thing to promote in tandem. Yes, it's very good if you want to help you promote, and it is a lot of work, and especially when you're trying to work multiple platforms. Like, one thing I like about Twitch is how quickly you can become an affiliate, but it doesn't lend itself to the same. It doesn't meet where YouTube is, where you can store all of your shows, you can have playlists, you can do so much with YouTube. But then with YouTube, it takes so long before you can, hit that 1,000 subscriber mark that you need in order to make any money for all of the work that you're putting in. But with Twitch, you've got to constantly be putting in work. Where if either one kind of bridged or whatever, if YouTube would make it easier to become an affiliate or to be affiliated, because they're still making money off of YouTubers, even if the YouTuber only has 400 subscribers, YouTube's still making money off of it. Yeah. So Twitch has really tapped into that. But where Twitch kind of drops the ball is that YouTube is really set up to make this a platform for you to have shows and series and people to come back and rewatch. And they can go in the descriptions and, find all of your information. So you've got to learn to work each platform. The good thing is that if you're using YouTube, once you make a video, you can put it up there and that's done. And you can leave it up until YouTube ever comes down. Or takes your channel away. You can leave it up and residually just keep collecting on that one video that you made 5 years ago. Can still be making you $100 if it becomes popular. Whereas with Twitch, you've got to keep doing that over and over and over and over, and people coming back.
That makes it hard sometimes if you want to have sick days or you're busy or you want to go out or whatever, and then you've dipped in your viewership because you're not there being present, and that can make it a little more difficult too with Twitch, whereas you can backlog it a little bit more with YouTube.
It's true. I think it's we talked before about that song, the kids song, John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, where you're trying to do all these things, but you start with just one thing.
Yeah.
And then you're doing the second thing. And it's sort of like that of pick a platform that really you respond well to. It feels right. You're already on it more than likely. And it's easy for you. Pick the low hanging fruit.
Yes.
And then once you get that one and it's going well and you're doing well and you're quite successful on there and you feel very confident in how you're dealing with it. And it's not the Dunning-Kruger confidence. It's the earned confidence. Then maybe look at the other platforms of okay, am I ready to pick up a second platform and start devoting some of my energy, not all, but some of my energy to that platform while I still maintain this first platform.
Well, that's kind of what I'm doing with Twitter, because I was drawn more to the Instagram, Twitch side of things, and I haven't really gone anywhere else with that. Even for my Facebook, it's very quiet. But then I was looking at how things were working. Like, I felt there was something missing where I wanted a platform where I could just post random updates of word updates rather than having to go through the whole process of making the image, making it look pretty, all of that, where it has to be visual. And then I was like, okay, maybe I can branch out into this audience and then do this thing. And that's where I'm like, oh, maybe Twitter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep, because you can just put your statement out there. You don't have to worry about taking a picture or finding a picture or creating a picture like you do with Instagram. You can just say, I want to say this, I want to put this out, I want to let people know about this, and you can just post it, put a few hashtags on there, and you're good to go.
Which is good if you want more of a low effort, because sometimes, like, the things I share on Instagram, I don't just post whatever. I don't just post a picture of my lunch and go, there you go, whatever. I try and, like, make something, and you can see through all of my posts, it's very aesthetic looking. And so I kind of try to maintain that. And sometimes I'm just either really busy or just I'm not sure what to post that has that visual effect. And so, it gives me the easier kind of way of doing something, at least, to engage with people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just reading through comments.
Yeah.
Because if we know our following doesn't sell our books, maybe it's wise to not limit your socials to attract your readers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because just because you might not really use it, like, I don't really view things on Twitter, but there are a lot of people that do. So.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we never say never, or because just because it hasn't in the past. If you're following someone like Sarah or other author tubers or writers who have found ways to make that number and sales correlate, at least to an extent that it helps significantly. We can always take pointers from what they're doing, how they're changing it up, and things are changing, especially since we've been in the panini. Life has changed a lot. Things in the publishing industry that were one way before are starkly different now, and some things may not go back to the way that it was. I was watching one published author who has an author tube channel, and she was talking about how things have changed now. So, we need to get on board and embrace some of these things that maybe seem far out there at one time. Things are different. We need to be able to roll with the punches.
Yeah, and adapt, definitely.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, adapting can feel scary, but, like, just view it as a game.
Mm-hmm.
Just experiments. You're not set in stone. Just try things. Just give it a try and then see how it worked after a few months. See if it was successful or not. You can always, like, try out a platform and go, oh, this doesn't work for me. Come back years later. I'm talking about me. Come back years later and then, find better success, partly because you have a community that's willing to support you, but also teach you how to use the platform better, more effectively. It's okay to, like, just sit around and not use that platform for a while. People understand. People have lives. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, of, like, this, I guess what I'm trying to say is a flexibility approach. Like, openness and flexibility, I feel, definitely will get us to where we want to be in a way that, if not faster, at least less stressfully. I would love less stress.
Yes.
I don't know about anybody else, but wow, the last decade has been a doozy for me. I do not relish it. And then when I say decade, I do not mean 10 years. It just feels like a decade. So, yeah, that's where I am. Did anyone else have any last remaining thoughts or ideas they wanted to share as we wrap up? We good?
Yeah, I'm reading through the comments to see, make sure we hit everything.
Yeah. Would anyone like to do an outro? I have just updated everybody's information in the description. I will admit I did forget during both. Right.
Awesome.
But I just updated.
I'll do a quick outro just to get the ball rolling so that the other ladies will do one.
Hint.
Yes,
I'll do one. No worries.
Awesome. Yay. Okay. I am Nia, Vixen of Fiction here on YouTube. I'm also Vixen of Fiction over on Twitch and The Vixen of Fiction on Instagram. You can follow me there. I do writing sprints most Wednesdays and Saturdays. Wednesdays, I do a midweek write. I alternate between YouTube and Twitch. And on most Saturday nights, when I'm not doing family time, I am doing night write. I do 8 o'clock on Twitch and 6 o'clock on YouTube. So you can catch the night write most Saturday nights. And I am an aspiring writer of fantasy, historical fiction, and sci-fi. I'm currently working on a comic and novella and a fantasy novel. I'm trying to do all of the things. And you can follow me. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. But who would like to go next?
I'll go. It's fine.
Stephanie. All right. I'm going to be scrolling to find where did I put Stephanie's stuff because it doesn't let me organize it. Stephanie.
All right.
Yes.
Hello. Okay, so that is my writer-related YouTube channel. I also have another one if you're interested in my RV family travel, things like that. I've written 3 books. Hope to release the 4th book by September, October. That is my Instagram and my Twitter. This is the cover of my first book. This is the only copy of all my 3 books that I have left in my possession, so I can't show you the other 3 covers. I think that's it. All my stuff's down below. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Amy, would you like to?
Yeah, I'll do it.
And again, I will then scroll going, where did I put Amy since it doesn't
that's all right. So I'm Amy. I'm currently writing a cyberpunk series at the moment of novels. I have a schedule up on my Twitch, which is Shiny Night, where I do writer sprints, and I also do games, and I'm currently going through the Mass Effect Legendary Edition at the moment. I also have an Instagram, which is @author_Amy. That's my thingies, Facebook as well. So just follow me on Instagram if you want updates and things, and Twitch for seeing, trying to be productive and seeing what I'm up to as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, we've made it. We've made it through another episode. We weren't sure we would, but here we are. So it's been awesome.
Thank you very much for letting me jump on so much. I enjoyed it.
I'm so glad you all came to join us. It's like, y'all are the salt in my life. And by that, I mean, have you ever eaten entirely unsalted food? It's okay. It will nourish your body. But it is not like that little thing that actually makes you want to eat, want to relish food. And that's how I feel about all of y'all, both on screen and in our chat. You just make me want to relish everything we're doing, to just celebrate it. So, again, I would like to thank you all. Your support means the world to me. You do not know. Words. Look, I swear, I work in words, and yet I do not have the words to explain how much all of y'all's emotional and even financial support has meant so much to us and made us feel so valued and special that all we do is we want to give back. And we hope that at the end of the day, you found us to be useful and you've benefited in some way from our little get-togethers. So thank you so much for coming. We're so happy you're here. Next week, pulling it out, going, which notebook, Glory? Every time. Oh, ADHD. It is so. When I was young, they told me, "Oh no, only boys can have ADHD. The best you could have is ADD." Really. Next week on July 26th, we'll be talking about marketing and promotion, part 2. More marketing, more promotion. It's going to be grand. If anyone would like to join us, we'd love to have you, and we will meet you back here on Monday. So thanks so much, everybody, and we're going to end the broadcast. Bye-bye.